Snoo. We got Rondo in the house. Let me take my camera off so y'all can see the brother. You know, you gotta see. Blinking. You already know. We'll get it going here in a few. Let's get in. I'm drinking that cell water. I mean, some people can drink up to 16 ounces. I just got 8, like 2 cups, like 24, like 32 ounces. I'm just, it's got a lot of hoop to it. Oxygenated, hydrogen, you know. And this is like, we got bosses. And this cell food right here, it comes in a little white bottle with the blue writing. This is like over 3-4 years, but they've come to find out they had bottles that were dated past 20 and the stuff was still legit. So it's like expired this year, like 2023, I think, like a few months ago, but I never used it. So now I'm just sipping it just to see how my body reacts to all the oxygenating. You know what I mean? Ooh, child. You got your mic up? I want to make sure that you got your read. You ain't got a whole lot of things hooked up too, Rondo. So that way we don't get all the feedback. You know, you be having.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, it's good, okay. Bro. It's good. So hopefully everybody come on in. Don't be scared. It's funny because like I'm seeing a lot of people talking about the stuff that I've been talking about, and it's like, don't wait until after. Come on in now. Voice your opinion, speak your mind. All that cussing stuff. Anybody start that cussing and all that, bleep, they're going to get mute. I was actually going to put one of those back, like the Brick City, like, you know, I was like, and it's too, I don't have all the good up-to-date stuff, like to make it really where it's pristine, but I might hook it up. We'll see. You know
I already messed, that's what took long to come in. I was messing with it because I got the screen back here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
I had to take a second to mess with it.
I was looking at it, you know. Hey, what's going on? I was looking at it. Let me take a look again because it's funny. Mine is like real funny. Like the layouts. Let me see something, y'all. The virtual background of me. It's new. Let me see the back. So this is the one. All right, let's just put this one up. See how that looks. It tells me for best use a green screen. I might not leave it up, but you can see. I grew up with
Red Wolf, my boy George. George, hit the link, man. What's going on, man? Hit the link.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna get started here in about a minute. So.
This is the Cyprian brother I told you about, where he showed me the picture of his family.
Okay. Let's get a sip of water. I meant to make my tea. I don't know why I didn't do it. All right. I don't know what's going on. I expressed everybody 5:15 we were going in, but you know, it's a Saturday and that's no excuse. I think it's the most appropriate time. I'm gonna remove the background. If y'all don't mind, just hold on for a minute because it's too shoppy. You know what I mean? I don't like it. So none. There we go. Now we get some free movement there. Yeah, come on in. The more people come in, it's a little slow moving. I don't know why. I even let people know in our SMS chat. I don't know if people partying or something like that. And besides, I can see everybody. Who comes in? I mean, that's the way it should be. But I'm gonna pose some questions and things, right? And I want to get people's take on some of these things. So we have 4N. Everybody's, hey, Marcus, what's going on, beloved? Everybody speak up. Chat in, or come on. I want people to come in on this time. When I throw these things out there, I really want people to look at these things, and I want to know how do you feel about it, or what's your expression? A lot of people know that my podcasts of the past used to be kind of hot and rolling. Some of them got quite a few views, and there are associates of mine who said they went back and they were unsubscribed, and it's just, it is what it is. But what I said, like I said, I'm gonna take 2 days to rejump the algorithm and do what's suggested by the guidelines, and about 3 or 4 videos I watched on YouTube that many people have had to do. I'm just, I feel like if you have a platform, you pay for certain things, but we're dealing with a different time, different personalities, and an imperialistic mentality amongst those who aren't even in touch or in tune with themselves. Hey, I'm gonna bring you in there, brother. George, make sure you could say your last name, and I'll go ahead and did you come on?
I'm here.
Oh,
Yo,
hey, what's
George,
going on?
my
What's
man.
what's
going on, bro?
Hey, how do you pronounce your last name? I don't want to mess it up.
Agathocleos.
Agathocleos, very Greek.
Yes, thank you.
I've been to that Greece, other except for the one that's not recognized here no more. I've been to that one many times. But Greece was everywhere.
Very
just like
good.
Rome and everything was everywhere. People don't know true history because the Rothschilds, Bilderberg, they've done their job in decimating that real history. And that's why when people say, well, who's the Indian? I'm like, if you want to really know the truth, how about we deal with what may be original? And if we deal with that, we really don't have a solid answer because we can't go back to maybe over 1 million, maybe 800,000, maybe 500. Every number I've learned, and when I've started getting into inventing and mathematics and all that stuff, I started realizing that they have been equating time and space to nothing but pure errors. They're all composites of lies. Even the carbon dating, when I used to work with a friend of mine who was ex-Air Force, and he was like, look, what we're gonna do here, pay it no mind. I'm like, what? And I'm down in this place where they got all the stuff going and everything. He says, this is he pulls me aside. This is fiction. This is just to calm the minds. And that was in the 80s. Like, you know what I mean? But anywho,
if you think about it, that's why they probably came up with so many stories and myths to keep the mind entertained even back then.
How about just keeping people divided? A friend of mine asked me he says, yo, Red, Navajo brother of mine, ex-Marine, right? 12 years, lost a limb and stuff like that.
Right.
Sergeant. And he says, Red, tell me more about the Chickasaw, bro. And I said, well, look, I'm going to share something with you. So I went to my notes based on college. I says, it's funny because we always want to go to certain individuals and the roles people believe they play. A lot of times those roles weren't played at all by these individuals. Albert Pike, just a number of individuals.
Right.
And I learned that they said 1729, the Choctaw, a very close ally to the Natchez.
Yes.
Yet the Choctaw supposedly sided with the French and turned on their allies, the Natchez, and ergo, the stepping away and becoming the Chickasaw, to which my ancestors is what my 5 times over grandparents, father and mother did. So they've been my 6 aunties, uncles, and all of them. They actually migrated to a different city. That's not how it happened. And it wasn't 1729. See, the history has been so flipped up on his head. That's why I love, the movie was kind of funny, satirical to me, but George Orwell, phenomenal. Just the book. I mean, when you really, and Mark Twain's quotes, I mean, you cannot beat out that. And a plethora of others, and it's like, why do people have a hard time going to them? Because the school system didn't give them to them. And they played Mark Twain to be something other than what he was.
Right.
Like,
I remember you just mentioned George Orwell, his 1984 book, and it was written a while back, and it was actually true. He predicted the future And back when we were in school, when I was in high school in the 90s, we kind of didn't believe it back then, but now we look at it nowadays and we're like,
Well,
you know what?
I went into the military in '84. It was one of my last year. I got kicked out of high school, even though I had the things that, because I fought a teacher, then I ended up fighting the principal, swinging on him. Because I kept telling them, they kept lying. Y'all lie, you know? And what do you mean we're lying? I'm like, this is all a lie. I mean, I'm going to go to work, and not everything that y'all taught, only thing that I learned was in school performing arts, acting, cameras and all that stuff, and, stage and monologue and dialogue, and then my art. I was like, maybe I can apply that. Everything else, every job I've ever had, even if assistant management or whatever, even as a supervisor in the military, none of that stuff. I couldn't use none of it. It was all garbage.
Right.
I mean, my grandmother was a candy striper before she became a nurse. And she, as a candy striper, she knew more than most of the nurses today.
Yeah.
She retired at 82 years old as a nurse.
Wow.
Lived in 94, 96 or whatever, and one of the greatest people I've met, other than, I've met other family members who were just as aspiring, but to take on her grandchildren and raise them after the abuse of my mother was just beyond, you know what I'm saying, commendable.
Yeah.
And you don't get that nowadays days. Families just dispose of their children and everything. Hey, Herbo, what's going on, beloved? Wild Indian, what's cracking? What's going on, beloved? So we got some good people up in here. We're gonna. I just want to post some stuff if you guys. Rondo, George, any of y'all want to say anything, or because I'm gonna throw some things out there, and I really would like to hear some return on some of these things.
I recall you mentioning that you have Native American blood, and I was recently
autochthonous. I'm actually original. I just want to correct you. I've got to always do that. Original, like autochthonous, the land.
Yes. I was recently reading up on the Algonquin tribe.
Okay.
The broader nation, mostly found in Canada and New York State,
Europe, brother.
Thank you. Well, yes. Reading up on that, and it was very interesting for me because I am from New Jersey.
So am I.
Okay. All right. Very good. Jersey represent.
07042, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm a 609 area code kind of guy.
Okay, all right, you more lenient. Okay.
Yeah, that's what and so like when we were talking about my mother, she's from Bergen County, that's North Jersey, and they sound more New Yorkish, whereas down here in Burlington County we sound, I guess, Philadelphia, more Philly. And then I'm reading about the Lenape Indians, and then the Lenape natives, and
Lenape,
yeah, Lenape.
And the Narragansett,
I believe translates to the original people.
Yeah, this was quite a few tribes, but they were actually battle battalions, but that's something else.
Right. They had accents too. They had different dialects of their language, and it was funny because the way it was proportioned out is the same way that we proportion it out even nowadays right here in New Jersey.
Exactly.
So they're not far off. They were pretty spot on, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of people don't know, like when in Carolina and Louisiana, like the Cherokee and the Cree and the Yamasee, which the Yamasee is a tribe, but it was a greater nation of people before the fall started of what we call the Republic of Tartary here. When you have the greater Tartary, Europe, Russia, which is Germany, and Europe, which is named after Queen Europe, who was Algonquin, and they kept that name. But we had a walk, and that walk became something big in the 60s, and it was something big in the 20s and 40s, and a lot of videos let's see. That's a walk that was spoken about by the Quakers as they came into existence. They would always come and meet them, and they was notice that they all had like they were on a ship. And you see that a little exaggerated now with skinny jeans and stuff, but most people don't know these little small things. You know what I mean? That little dip in the walk, that is, the back trails,
that swagger.
It's just part of the, the dynamics to which most people, and this stuff, there's references or sources where people can search them if they know to look for those things. And just putting that in, how did the Cherokee, the Anahuia, as my great grandmother said, she didn't like the word Cherokee because she said there was people assimilating who lived around us. People coming in like in the 1870s and 90s, they would immolate before the destruction and everything,
Right.
before World's Fair, because when the World's Fair was going on from 18 to the early 1900s, a lot of wars were being fought by my ancestors, and it was not no civil war. It was us fighting and that new invaders, and because we didn't know that, we were always like, people talk about Christopher Columbus. That's not his name. His name is Cortez, regardless, right? And he had met us on several of the 12 occasions over there. You know, and this is historically, even in the Library of Congress was where first time I saw that. And when I was doing the grand research while I was in the military and overseas, Edinburgh, Scotland, I love that place. That was just phenomenal. And Ireland and everywhere.
No, you've been there.
Oh yeah, I've been. Yeah.
Very nice.
I've been everywhere. Yeah, but the thing is, to come back here and see over 28 to 32 different maps of so-called America, to which America and so-called South America, Mexico, that is not part of it. America was Brazil and all that down there, and it wasn't called America. That's just it's just the name portrayed by the Christendom of newly invested people to rewrite history, based upon the payment of David Rockefeller, you know what I'm saying, and the Rothschilds and so on, and there was a conglomerate that partook in this venture. When they started the destruction of the old world. And those maps, this right here was Asia Superior and the East. And then all of a sudden, around the 1920s, the earth stopped being flat and this became the West and everything started changing.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And when I'm reading this on microfiche, we didn't have, I'm looking at the Gazette, Mississippi Gazette, the Tribune. I'm looking at the new, I'm looking at all these old papers.
Right.
And these little articles, it's still there. Now the thing is smudged, the digitized, it's smudged, and you're like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bill Nye, the science guy, I followed him all my,
Yeah.
And he told you wearing clothes, this, that, and other. Then he disappeared for a year. Then he comes back, and you can see the stain in him. And he started arguing with people. I don't know if they were threatening his life or whatever. The earth is round and blah, blah, and blah, blah. The sun is not nuclear. It's electric. It's magnetic. This is like...
The flares are magnetic fields, aren't they?
What does a capacitor do without that surrounding cover? Have you ever seen one based upon not the oscilloscope, but they have the in Japan they actually had a video showing with that red or maroon lucid like glass case with a capacitor without that protective rubber covering, and how it would spark these flares.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it. And then when I'm looking at old texts based so-called on Peruvian and mezcal,
yes,
stating these things.
Yeah,
it's a form of energy. And I'm like, what happened? How did we so quickly get spun around? Wars and indoctrination.
Right.
I mean,
it's funny you mentioned war, because war is, even though it's a pretty, crappy thing, it's one of the things that's necessary on Earth, in a sense that Earth is a self-correcting system. Even humanity is a self-correcting system. As you hear a lot of, even we as humans, we observe a lot of stupidity within ourselves, but at the same time, it corrects itself.
Well, I'm not one for violence, even though my history is, because I train and all that. People
you're a former Marine yourself?
No, Navy.
Okay, Navy. All right,
yeah. I was the first person in my family to go Navy, though I have ancestors who were great seafarers.
Right. Okay.
I know their names. I know the grand ships and everything that they had.
Yes.
people look at me sometimes and go, "Oh, you got Chinese? I've got Chinese cousins." That's how they, but they're very dark. They're about as dark as me, but
Right.
they speak Mandarin, not Cantonese, and they consider themselves more in line of being the Shi,
Ah,
not Chinese. They see all this Chinese, Japanese, all that stuff's new 6th century, which they 16th century, because I believe 1,000 years have been added on. I don't care what anybody says.
right.
I've read so many. I guarantee you, I've read over 10,000 books, and that's just in history alone.
Yeah.
And to compile information is. But I always looked inside myself, and then when I would speak with people in Hong Kong, wherever I've been in Chinatown, the old ones, I always wanted to sit around the older ones. Like if they were over 70 or 80 in the 80s, I wanted to hear what they had to say. And it was always snippets of something that would allude to something else.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. But like I said, the World's Fairs, then I'll post some of the little things that I would like to have discussed. This is great right here. The human zoos, we were not permitted nor allowed to be in any of them.
Right.
There's a reason.
You saying zoos, like animal zoos?
No, there were human zoos during the World's Fair. Africa, the New Age Africans and all that. Everybody was New Age Filipinos, not even original Negritos. The new ones who were mixed in after the conquering of the land, and
right,
the new Fijians, the new everything were permitted,
kind of like
to be there, but not us,
not people.
And that's when I first learned that, and I was in the military, and that's my father used to say it all the time, and I didn't believe him. I was like, "You crazy as hell, pops," because he was an IV coke user, and he was in Vietnam. He was a bank robber, bank robber, and all that in Jersey and all that. Anyway, and he said, "No, we have some Palestinian family members who ain't from over, and they weren't our enemies. Hell, they were lynched and killed right along with us. My family fought back and murdered, killed a lot of the enemies who were trying to take the home, the land, and everything else during that period. A lot. And then so I said, man, bump this. So in Duval County, trailer park, a friend of mine met this girl, and I was like, hey, kicking it with her. And she's like, "How much you to meet somebody?" So I met this cat, but I had this dude in the Navy who I didn't even know at the time because it was all hidden. And he was hanging out, and he says, "Oh, yo, you gonna go over there?" He says, "Yo, I gotta tell you something. My birth certificate I'm Negro on it." And I'm looking at this smile. I said, "Man, yo, you want me to knock you out, cuz? We best friends. We good friends back on the base in the squad, right?" But he says, "Well, I'm told I can't say nothing about it." So, and I was an E4, so I was like, and I was a supervisor, one of the youngest supervisors on the coast at that time in the 80s. And I'm like, you kidding me? So these people came out of his house, this little short, blonde-headed, half gray, green-eyed woman, stubby little, and then her sons and all of them come out. One of them had big curly blonde hair. And I'm like, okay, well, I know some Irish. I know some people,
Yeah.
And some Ashkenaz, some Jews, right? Some Ashkenaz.
Right.
I'm gonna call them Jews. But anyway, my uncles, I got two uncles who are Ashkenaz. You call them Jew, they'll kill you. Who are Vietnam vets. They're about 78 years old.
Right.
They don't like this. They don't like. They call them their own people hypocrites.
Are they Levites?
No, man. They're Ashkenazi. They're not part of no 12 tribes or nothing.
Right. Okay. I know who.
The Vanderbilts, the Bilderbergs, they're the ones that created that. They're the ones that have been going around conquering, creating a war, destroying everything.
Right.
Old technology. Nobody knows this. But regardless of that, and they're all coming out, and they're coming out with these manila folders. I'm like, what, did I win some kind of prize or something? And then they show me their birth certificates, death certificates. They show me, and they're showing me their relatives and pictures. And I'm sitting there going like silver, like old pictures, the silver. And I'm like, y'all black and Negro. And I'm conflicted. And I'm thinking about Pops. What so I started researching the lynchings. I come to realize in a lot of states, a lot of people weren't lynched. It was a lot of Palestinians who are related to us. It had to be hidden. It had to be destroyed. It had to be removed. And people said, "Nah, man, you got to be crazy, bro." And I says, "Why would I be crazy when I'm saying I'm literally dealing with these individuals?" Hey, what's going on, beloved? What's happening? Oh, but what I'm saying is, even my brothers who were taken around and we were partying and barbecuing, and it was a whole new. Nobody knew this.
Yeah.
And I think they were being paid to be quiet.
Right.
Then I met some in Virginia. Then I met some in Georgia. And that's before the gaydom really went down, you know,
Yeah,
like
right.
in the 90s and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, this something ain't right here, man. And the further you dig, the more you seek. You know what I'm saying?
It'll wake you up.
And then you start realizing, wait a minute, when I'm listening to my great grandma says, oh, we had our pale skin. She never used the word white because I believe
Right.
that was a change of hands in the 1800s from us being meaning pure of the true Shemitic bloodline. Because you got to remember in the Bible, it tells you Ham, the progenitors of the dark race, but not the Negro.
Yeah.
But somewhere down there with King Philip's War and all those other things, they started saying Negroes the Guinea. But what they were saying was a lot of our people were always out there. Because when you think about Queen Europa of Europe and Prussia, Germany, Russia, and all them places, people say, wait a minute. And then they say, well, we want to see a picture. That's when George Orwell kicks in, because to see the original picture, she was like really, we call Rudy. Like, and she had thick, wavy hair, and she was kind of tall.
Right.
And she was Algonquin.
Ah, like I mentioned earlier.
People have a hard time dealing with this. I used to go to the Brown Derby in Alaska, in Canada, and I used to always hit the little mom and pop bookstores I could, because Brown Derby was one place where we like to go on the scat. You know, some of the pale skin brothers from England and the Caribbeans, and they were doing the scat. You know what I'm saying? That dance. You know, so we was getting with it. And I hit the mom and pop stores. You know, we all drinking out because it was a little different in Canada at that time in the 80s. And I'm sitting there looking up this book of the Inuits. I said, well, where are these people? Because I'm seeing a bunch of New Age Asians.
Yeah.
Because people thought that because the way I look, they said, well, you got Chinese. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I got relatives, but no. You know, when I say I'm Anahuia and Chickasaw, that's what I can't go back. I couldn't tell you 30 generations. Because, see, we're all related. I don't give a damn. Even if let's say there's a whole bunch of domes and some people got wings and some people got snouts this big. We're all related.
Right.
There is a conquering going on. That's why I'm reading Custodians and everything else, Heaven Bearers and all that stuff, because people need to be a little more consistent, because we have a lot of people based on the prison system, education system, who show a lot of veneration of hate for each other.
Yeah.
And that's a construct. If people are fighting and hateful, talking about culture vultures, first of all, majority of people are doing our cultures. And I've actually been writing that in my book that I've been working on for Jesus Christmas. But anyway, and I'm pointing out all the things based upon culture, whether it's the barbecues, the family gatherings, things that nobody else did in the way we did it. And it's not a big identity thing. I worked at Thomas Edison's building for 2 years. Right. I knew two of the oldest surviving people who worked there, who lived across the street. And I was sitting there going, Nikola Tesla didn't want to be around the mulatto, Albert Einstein.
Right.
He went to Harlem to be more around us.
Yeah.
And that's how he was learning so much more. And they have to smash that history.
Right.
And right now, William Cooper is laying the foundation, as well as George Orwell and a number of other books that are based on fiction.
Yeah.
And people are starting to realize, wait a minute. And see, this is why they're speeding everything up. Because they're going, wait a minute, boom, these cats is waking up. That's why I say love is so important. And instead of worrying about everything outside of you, internalize who you are. Don't internalize the pain and the struggle, because it happens. But it happened to everybody. And people just don't want to see it that way. And because it's been played on one group of individuals and not on the whole masses. That's why I say it's better to go to the source and leave all these black extremists, these white extremists, all these fake crayon color individuals, leave them alone.
Right. Yeah, avoid them. And don't even listen to them. And don't even take it into your brain, because it's going to cause more chaos.
Exactly. And people have a hard time dealing with that. Well, you've been around the world. Well, if you had taken the time to take your money and travel around the world or this earth, you would have saw different too. And the thing is, most people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And you will see yourself out there. Now, there are some places that were corrupted, but by who and why? Well, ignorance is something else during wartime, and lies can facilitate all mannerisms and all kind of things.
Oh yeah.
You know, most people in Arab countries are going, my nigga, but listen to me, because they listen to the rap and they love it. And they think it's part of the dialect. It's not to be racist or, you know, it's just
It's a cultural thing.
We're
Especially-
not cleaning the backbones because we're letting a perversion assimilate people into something that never could have existed.
Right.
But Negro is from the word naga, and what does it allude to? Being a Khan. And then people start realizing, wait a minute. Well, if you don't want to believe in, and sadly, when the greater Prussias and all that started falling in Georgia, they were taking them children, killing off a lot of the men, raping the women, and then bringing the children over here on orphan boats. The ones here, after their parents were dead, murdered or lynched, taking those children, sending them out to the West, along with the new Chinese who are actually combatant. Not all of them were combatants, because the Mandarin ones came here who were a remnant of the Shi.
Yeah.
Because of the Boxer Rebellion with the French Dutch, the new French Dutch, English going there and sacking the people and fighting with the new weapons they had. And I have pictures of them people, and they were darker than me.
Well, if you see a picture of my father, Nico, you remember my father. Yeah, everybody loves my dad. And, the region that he's from is smack dab right in the Middle East. Wow. And he's very dark. And once you live there, if you live in that environment, if you have over 3,000 hours of sunshine a year, yeah, you're going to assimilate. You're actually going to eat the food that the locals eat. You're going to hang around, listen to the culture. You're going to watch the culture. You're going to, you'll become one without trying. It just happens. And that's adaptation.
Exactly.
Your body's naturally adapting. And my father, he went back over there over 10 years ago, and he's been staying there ever since. And he looks like he belongs there. I mean, he is from there, and he migrated to the United States in the late 70s.
To Americas.
Yeah, to the Americas, yes. And quote unquote, the Americas.
Because you got to remember, this part of the so-called Americas, I still call it Athdale, but it was 5 conglomerates of great grand land masses. And in those, you have the places you have now, but they played a different part, because some was part of the Egypt remembrance, Rome, acquiesce stuff. We had a cathedral here, bigger than the one in Italy. And it wasn't a cathedral. What you call it? It was bigger than the one over there. It's now buried on, I forget how big the thing is.
Yeah.
The Colosseum, excuse me. We had the Pantheon here. We had everything here.
Right.
There's even still pictures. The thing is, it's very hard because they're doing their best to get rid of that before this next reset. The thing is, regardless of all that, it's all one big family. And until people realize this and can put away their pain, it's hard to do that, compartmentalize, and then to divide and separate and push away all the pain that you've been through, all the people. And until that, it's a battle, but it's an uphill one, because people are waking up. We still have those people. Yeah, I ain't gonna happen because my great uncle was but your cousin was killed by a nigga around the block yesterday. I don't want to hear. What are you doing about that?
Right.
What are you doing about all these new Chinese coming on based upon ignorance, who are part of the ones who are systemic in destroying the old world? And come over there with hatred still in their heart because it's in their DNA. Those jacks, those little Ichiawis can't block that. I says, if you're not making the correlation for correction with them, then they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And not everybody's capable able, because you have so many parties that are pushing the enemy's narrative. And I mean, Margaret Sanger, you look who backed her. And people don't want to recognize this. Right now, some of the most beautiful women in the world are lifting their booties up and making them look funky looking, like this iron board needs to go up under it, and BBLs, whatever they call it, getting their waist sucked in, getting their boobies all expanded. And then you got brothers getting the white little markings and painted on their head and weave and nails done. And they're getting BBLs and breast implants. And this is what they wanted. And how did they do this? And disturbingly, through the education system. And the marketing of lies on television.
Right.
And even in the movie theater. Yo, DJ, what's up, beloved? Hey, where the Oak go? Peace. Hey, MC, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? I'm going to shout everybody out. DJ, what's going on, beloved? Yo, I'm checking you out. You know that, Ron Charles. Hey, no cursing, guys. No cursing. So I want to put your stuff up. We're not doing no cursing, no swearing. At least, we know it's not, but I want to keep this very family oriented if it's all right. All right.
Very
Where you
good.
go, beloved?
He said his battery's dead, Red.
Oh, okay. Well, plug it in. Because I like to hear what some people. Hey, yeah, right on, brother. Some people come on in now. Hey, look, I'm gonna throw some things out. I'm waiting for the brother to come out, and I want to see. I would like to see how. What's that, brother? What you say there? Sister, Ambassador Tahita. The original people of Britain were melanin. Yes, adaptation to Darwinism, the Earth. Yeah, it's bigger than Darwinism. Yes, but definitely major part in it. Boaz, Franz Boaz, all of them played a major part, and they are all related. I put a post up yesterday, right? I says, what does Hitler, the senior to Rockefeller, to Rockefeller, his father, have in common to Mr. Rockefeller and Mr. Serpent himself? And then I had Trudeau and Fidel. They're all related. Just like Obama, even the one they killed, the Irish man, Kennedy, or the Onassis, whatever you want to call them, related to the Vanderbilts or Rothschilds, are all of them related. You got to remember, Rockefeller's, 10 years ago, whatever, or maybe a little more than that, the nephew was a seafarer, and they wanted him to do something. He was against it, and they unalived him. I don't want to get to the depth thing and the big speakeasy of that, but it's bigger than what people. I had just actually spoke about Queen Europa, who was Algonquin. So with the brother here, George, and it's a beautiful thing to have people who have some history and are able to share that. Oh, what was that? What was this one right here? Hey, Big Pontiac, what's up, beloved? They're bringing forward Adam Quadman, Talmud, Kabbalah. Well, you know what? That has always been ongoing. Most people, when they pick this up, right? The Quran, the Left Behind, when you pick up even their new rendition of Ezekiel or Enoch, the 3rd to 17th rewrites of the King James Version to the New Era, all that is based on the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
The Tetragrammaton and the Kabbalah. It's a perversion. If you want to change things in order to undo order, would y'all agree? You must flip everything upside down in version, and you must reverse it. The stories, they said that the sun was the male energy, right? The sun is the feminine energy. It nurtures you.
Yeah, it does.
The moon is a satellite, and it was put in place for whatever it was. But we had a great war. We hit that. Those are not pop marks from meteorites. That's those round spears that were all over the earth at one time, but you can only find in certain places in South America. We, with energy, were bombing something up there. And it's no more than 70 to 93 miles up. And y'all see, people don't really have a clue how, like, this expanse. It's
there's a lot out there.
And even the earth is deeper than you can even conceptualize.
Yeah.
One thing they put in the Talmud and all that and everything else is infinite. And they have spun it into a mathematical equation to which you cannot do, because infinite does not end. Infinite means continual.
Yeah.
There is no stoppage. We can't even fathom.
Yeah,
we can envision an end and an end, but that means that it's not infinite, right? I'm just throwing it out there, you know what I mean? So yeah, they are doing exactly, that's the whole purpose of the one world religion, to which is not a religion of anything. It removes, for ye are gods, it removes your place in history and your light of who you are, to be subjugated and to turn off, to be docile, to be like Logan's Run, or, you know what I'm saying, or Maiden's Tale, The Handmaid's Tale. There's a plethora of books out there that allude to this. To be the protogenesis to being what is considered a zombie. If you look over in Kensington and everywhere, actually, right now, not just L.A. and Seattle, Washington, everywhere.
I was going to say Portland,
Oregon with the water. What is going on with these people? Are crazy.
They're zombies.
But look at the water, the tap water, like the fluoridation. Now it's brown and they're saying it's safe to drink. All these people have lost their minds.
Yeah, we've had that problem recently right here in Burlington County, actually.
See, I'm fluent with that. Yes, very much.
They were saying just hold off on drinking that water for about a few days. Once we give you the okay, then it'll be safe to drink. And then once you we'll let you know. And it's not safe to drink. Come on, let's be reasonable.
We know that. Yeah. The fluoride is destructive alone. Then you have the barium and a few other metals that's not even in fresh water. It's added in those big bags. When I was in high school, they were showing them putting that big bag, those powders into the water.
Right.
And everybody was like, yeah, that's fluoride to make your bones and your teeth strong. And then all of a sudden you have an osteoporosis, you have all these things coming
fluoride.
out. Yeah, and the heavy metals, the lead, the barium, all those different things was in that.
It's to make you a good slave.
Exactly. The calcify the pineal gland, to mess with your eyesight, cataracts. Yeah. You mess with your liver. This is what creates diabetes. Red meat is part of it because of the hormones and stuff they shoot.
Right.
People
who pioneered that, right?
Oh, yo, you know what? I actually have it. Who go ahead and put. I actually wrote it down.
Yeah, the goose stepping Nazis.
Yes, but you know who they are. The Nazis. You know who the Nazis are, right?
Oh,
Adolf Hitler was a Rockefeller.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, right.
And they already proved that the bones there were females.
Right.
I mean, when I was down South America, I went to Germantown. It was like, oh yeah, Hitler died here. He's probably buried over there by his home.
Oh yeah.
What? So people have a hard time. But see, the thing is, when those orders, they will sacrifice their own because they believe in something nobody really knows about.
Right.
You know, when you want to start talking about the covenants and stuff like that, that's what I was going to actually speak on, like the covenant.
They'll speak of subjects like this because it helps them, and it even helps them too. It'll help the victims. It'll help the victims of their societies if they were to believe the stories and assimilate those stories into their realities. That it helps them all the much better.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Snooze says something, and it says we used to use our eyes. Actually, our energy, which is an excellent answer as far as the moon. No, our eyes, I don't believe that was a capability. I know that we have this aurora. Remember I was talking about the guy in the 70s with the blue, the shades that can see the aura that was taken away. That's how you get the infrared and all that stuff. Now they messed with that based on what he did, and you can't get those shades. That's based on the documentary of They Live, Roddy Danger, the wrestler and everything. But no,
Roddy Piper.
Right. We had weapons to fight an enemy, a foreign one. And my ancestors' ancient story is that we are not from this land. We came here because we knew of the Titans' fall, and we were led by a powerful woman who they would make into a deity, make into Lilith, pervert.
Right.
And she stood upon the waters, and the land was under her feet, and she walked. And that's where they get the story, like in Hawaii and stuff, like Kichi Manitou and Hatana. But the thing is, no, we could move. We had still giant humans. It's well known, up to like 20 damn something feet tall with us. They had to be eradicated. Right. And they had difference. That's why the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, were the giant killers of the enemies. And that was all during the fictional Civil War. But that's hidden. It's been changed.
Right.
So, because they need people to be dumb. Do they still exist? I believe wholly so.
Of course they do. You don't want your people being smart. If your people are being smart, you can't control them. And that's the whole meaning of the game, isn't it? Is control.
Exactly. And well, it's beyond that now because we know there's more. I believe a lot of meat people are eating from that slime, that whatever is Soylent Green. It's people.
100%. Who was in that? Charlton Heston was.
Yes,
Yeah,
Charlton
yeah.
Heston had quite a few individuals in there. It was something else. I, I always, what was that? Benji, excuse me. I tried. What was it? What do you use? I try to use miswak root to brush my teeth. Yeah, and that's kind of grainy, but it works. And Naim too. You can get the plant. Naim, get the leaf, and people don't know about that. But I'm gonna share something with y'all that's funny about the body. If we had all the minerals and we're just partaking in some of the fruits, your body produces protein. It produces everything to recorrect itself. And what is the body mostly made of?
Water, right?
If you have air is what? Air is what?
Air.
Hydrogen.
Okay, yeah. Hydrogen.
And what are we? Hydrogen, and what makes water?
Oxygen.
But what are we? Like when you're talking about neurons, protons, and all this stuff. Right?
Electrons, atoms.
Well, no, you got it right the first time actually. So
electrons.
Air is around us.
Yeah.
We produce water based on hydrogen. You have hydrogen,
oxygen, electrons,
H2O,
H2O,
H3O.
yes. Right.
You have to have electrons, right?
Right.
So our bodies can actually make and produce water.
Yeah.
Now, because we are drinking this unfathomable stuff and mineral water is perverted, reverse osmosis, what does it do? Alkalinize.
Yeah.
So our body can make it, but see, we don't know that.
Right.
Our body, be able to hear for miles and see beyond the scope of understanding. But because we have been so inundated and poisoned and toxified, we only accept what is tangible.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So we can't envision anything beyond that unless we start getting into the science of it by the narrative of what science is, when science is actually the undoing, the reverse engineering.
Right. It almost reminds me, what's his name? Kevin Costner from the movie Waterworld. And obviously you can't drink seawater, but, you could pee in a filtration system and drink that and give that to your plants. And that's what he did in the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
It's like you said, our body produces it. Our body also filters it. We could filter.
I'm going to show y'all something, right? Y'all going to be like, wait a minute. Let me see. I meant to show this before, right? But I said this would be an excellent time. And when I show you this, y'all gonna be like, and I'm gonna see if I can enlarge it. Okay. All right. No, y'all gonna be like, wait a minute. What? Yeah. This is based on Tartary, but because we are not living in Tartary, we don't have the resource of knowledge unless somebody shares something. So let me see if I can. Oh man, they're gonna do that. Oh, doggone it. Anyway, I can hold it up.
Okay. I see.
Dune, the suits they wore.
Dune, yeah.
They purified the water and the carbon and everything else.
Right.
They can go, you know what I mean? And they weren't eating.
Right. They were just reproducing their own vitamins and nutrients. Without ingesting anything.
Exactly.
They can't ingest anything. It's a desert. It's like there's nothing there. It's so barren.
Exactly. But see, because we were given a false food pyramid that the USDA, the FDA changed based upon Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, right? And they literally was poisoning us.
Yeah.
Having us eat grains and all this stuff to which we did not eat.
And
but during the starving times of war, which were very recent, 1800s, we were taking food to everybody. It's a documented thing, but nobody wants to speak of it. I mean, out of 640 fruits and vegetables over there in Africa, 600 of them will come from here.
Right. China produces garlic. You could buy Chinese garlic at any store
And
you
it's
want.
poisonous.
Yeah, it's not.
It's pure poison.
It's right.
But you got to remember, the Chinese have that. What's that? That 11 whatever ABC that which called. They don't have pores. They don't sweat and stink. The 80 to 90% of them. That's why their livers get a little messed up. They don't need deodorant. The majority of them.
Right.
They don't. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, they if you think about
The new ones.
that when we were and I've read about this, the masters of mass production. Henry Ford was a master of mass production, the assembly line. The Nazis, they were really big into mass production. The Chinese, mass production. The Russians, mass production.
Yes. Yes. It's a fact. It's a fact.
It's all mass production because you got to satisfy the masses. You got to satisfy the big crowds. Take care of the problem. You're going to have a whole bunch of hungry people on your hands. What do? Well, you got to mass produce it and feed it to them. That'll shut them up.
Somebody, some Hebrew Israelite. I hate using that term because it means that they're a language Israel. But anyway, right? Said it's funny when you used to talk about things, James, and you mentioned the Ashkenaz and they come from Gomer by way of Yaphet. I said, and it says, well, what about us? I already talked to you as cousins. But what people fail to realize is not all his relatives were in tune with what they wanted to do.
Right.
Like people can't even get the sense in their head. Like they think this everybody just ran with them and going, we're gonna just destroy the world. No, there is a disease, and it's real.
Oh yeah. And humans have had this disease ever since humanity's even been around, and it's not something we could just shake. It's something
since the fall of Atlantis, yeah. Since the fall of Atlantis, yes.
Right. It's not something. It's actually something that we have to grow to accept.
It's a scar. Well, we don't have to accept nothing. We don't have to believe in it. We just have to let it be.
Let it be.
And we need to move beyond what has happened because right now we're in the field or the zone. The field, the how do you say the infield or the zone for making corrections, autocorrect. We're in that time and period. The thing is, we can't give energy to saying we can't reach everyone. Well, many people will have to go. It's just no way around it.
Right.
Many people have to go.
Oh yeah.
It's sad to say that, but it's the reality.
Earth is a self-correcting system. Humanity is a self-correcting system in itself. Just like other plants and animals, they're also self-correcting. Yeah. Everything on this planet is self-correcting. We had huge oil spills. When you have in geology, when you have different levels of where there's petrochemicals in one layer and then other layers and then other layers, and if one of those chemicals gets into our layer, we call it pollution.
Right.
But yes, it is pollution to us, but not
to the earth.
Not to the earth. It's all the same thing.
Well, actually, oil is not a pollutant because it's the second greatest body of fluid.
It's natural.
Right.
It's something
it's not fossil fuel and all that nonsense. It is the earth's blood, like the water. It's the water of life and the water. And the thing is, they have to be consistent in keeping people nullified and dumbed down to these things. That's why.
Right.
That's why you talk to people on oil rigs. They're like, man, there's so much oil out there, man. You don't have a clue. And the thing is, in order to control the society, you see what BlackRock, they see what they're all doing.
Right. The black gold, the Texas tea.
No, BlackRock. And we're talking about the money printers and all of them, the people that control the banks. The based on the ones who conspire against humanity.
Oh, yeah. The 1%ers.
Right.
The
1%.
The
black Pope and the gray Pope. People don't know about Pepe. And they're faces to be meant to be known. They don't see the ones, and that's why it's important why I read, because I have to let people come into their own. You can never force feed anybody anything.
Look up the Roman Emperor. There was a Roman Emperor, a few of them, black.
Yeah, but we don't use the term black. That's dead.
Black or African. He was actually Syrian.
Melanated.
Yeah, yes.
Because our brother here, we gotta say the correct
melanated.
Even you're melanated. You just very lightly melanated.
Right. Layman's terms.
Right. And Rome there was no real Rome. It was part of Tartary. People don't know that Tartary existed for a period of time greater than what they can functionally grasp.
Right.
The the thing of creating Greece and Rome and all these things was to divide and separate the world. This is a real thing. This is it's and it was all at the same period of time, but it wasn't what people think it is.
Right.
If you look at Fiji, you look at Rome, you look at Greek, why everybody wear the same stuff? We had the Mohawks. Why did everybody have? Because they were the battle hardened for the fight a foreign enemy.
Yeah, the warlike people.
The warriors, the ones to fight the warlike people, the ones who bring all the war, who came to destroy as they have done.
Well, there's the masters of creation. There's the masters of destruction.
Chaos, yes.
Chaos, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
These are scientists in the field, if you think about it. They knew what they were doing, and it was done for a reason. They knew what they were.
There's some questions here. I want to get into those. Look, what's your take on government and Masonic buildings having blue lights on the outside of them?
Oh,
we might want to believe that because of lasers, right? Well, I believe it's bigger than that because blue is a symbol. I don't like getting into Masonic. I want to give them more energy, okay? But they've set themselves up astute to be royal, as if purple or blue, and that's all it is. It's not because you have to have blue roofs and all that to protect from what. It depends on what type of laser they're using. Stay off there. See, they're knocking the books down, buddy. He's trying to climb up on here. You look cute, but don't get up here. All right. So anyway,
the cat.
Yeah, Alexander. Yeah. He wants to
I have
play
a
with
cat
the bottle
also.
cat. But anyway, so my thing on that is, don't even worry about it. All right, it's a good question, but if you want to know more, delve into it. The science behind it all, believe me, it's going to be a lie, and you might find out something that nobody else know, hon. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Look at this here. I'm gonna say some things too, okay? Because we're getting beyond. Wide is the gates of destruction, narrow gates of life, shifting wheat and weeds. Yes, and that's where they get the biblical verse exactly. Wide is the gate of hell and all that nonsense. What I love the old one stating, let me read this right quick, y'all, because y'all gonna like this. And some of you are gonna be like, oh, wait, here you go with that military. Yeah, and let me make sure I've got it right because I don't want to just like this pop stuff all the top of my head. And y'all like this. Okay. I've got so much information. Y'all know me, man. I'm just like, and I love to keep doing it. You believe defines what you wait. Whoever defines what you believe defines what you create. Okay.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, it's not off. That's not even from George Orwell. That's just the reality, right?
Yeah.
When we think about, let me see here. I want to get the right thing. I've got to scroll down a little bit. Because I want to ask y'all a question. I want to know, I want to hear a serious response from everybody if possible. Because right now, everybody's brain is working overtime. Slow down. Everybody has something to say, but a lot of times we don't think. And this is a fact. There's nothing wrong with it, but sometimes we have to make the correction. Okay? I mean, and that's why I do what I do, It's not about being wrong or right. Nobody's really wrong. But there are correct things, or corrections.
Yeah.
A lot of us are very emotional, and we got to bring people out of the emotional unstableness. All right? Where is this thing at, man? Yeah, don't worry. I can't even count how much. It's just what it is, right? And this one, I love it. And I'm not going to talk about Christianity and religions. I mean, I already made a statement, and y'all know where I stand with that. But some people believe they need that. So until they move beyond belief, there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, nothing wrong with it at all. In fact, things like that, if it's used to help people, it's a beautiful thing, no matter what it is. As long as it's not perverted,
because it's all man-made. As long as it's not perverted. And when it's perverted, which we're dealing with a lot,
Well, like religion is one of the, that's like a money-making device. It creates a lot of that, and they ask for a lot of that, collection plate. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm a practicing Christian myself, but like you said, there's a time and place for stuff like that. I guess we'll save that for my show.
Well, I'm going to read this to you, okay? I'm very. My thing is, I'm really deep in world travel and history of religion, from its dynamics to its origin. But I also listen to my ancestors who made sure I knew the things that were practical. Because I can quote Frederick Ricks Douglass. I can quote James Baldwin. I can quote 100 different individuals, because Christianity is not of the soil, but where it originates with King James coming here and sitting down with our people. And then when he went back, and I went and visited his bedchambers and found out he was murdered upon his return, because he came here for 5 or 6 years to be amongst the Algonquin people, the people he remembered of his people. And when he went back, he was finally killed, because that's what it was, a purging over there before it even started over here. And 7 years later, here come these individuals with this Bible in Algonquin before it was any other language, and it changed so quickly. But apparently, this comes from Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth. Okay? I want to make sure I read it all right, because it's about the 13 gods and all that. Okay? Let me pull it up. Well, there's different ways that it's written down. Okay? And I want to make sure I read it correct. No, why are you always doing that now? It's like when you order something, they automatically make you want to buy it every month, like crazy. Okay?
That's by design too.
Exactly. And it's crazy. And then when you realize that the next month comes along, it's like, wait a minute, I only bought it one time. You didn't read the fine print. And I'm like, man, if y'all don't get out of here with that nonsense.
The fine print. Yeah. Artificial intelligence is another subject I am fascinated with. It has to do with a lot of the stuff that they're looking for in astronomy. I believe you said it earlier. It's because there's going to be that time where the people that are looking for somebody to do the job, nobody's going to do the job. They're going to have to make something up for somebody to do the job, whatever that job may be.
And well, you see what they've been doing, so-called the AIs, the machines, and all that. I was surprised to see the things on the street up there in the cities and all that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That stuff, they bum rushing it out there, regardless of the mistakes. This is by Joseph Campbell. All the gods, all the heavens, and all the hells are within you. Most people would have attested to the Benghazi 13 and stuff like that. My thing is, to me, it's based upon a fact because of my studies and what I've learned in my travels.
Right.
And if you look outside of yourself, how will you assess who you are inside yourself? Let me ask everybody this, okay? You see what's going on. And you know what the Constitution, for those, our ancestors created the Constitution. It wasn't created the way they stated it was. And the Bill of Rights was something that was formidable to everybody. Because World War I, there was no segregation. Everybody fought side by side. How do y'all feel about what you're saying right now with what we know in the 80s and 90s about the statement of a war with Iran, William Cooper, that would be the plateau to begin World War III, Israel, so-called Israel, not the real one, over in the land of Palestine based upon the Balfour Agreements, just like when they renamed Hindustan, India, and people have a hard time with that. 1948 to 54, all those agreements made in Britain based on those who are ruling, the fake queen and king over there, okay, because that's what they are. All that was well known back then, and everybody ignored it. As in when the CIA, who is now, you have two militaries and two governments on this land. One's underground, the other one's up, but you see the assimilation of both. Yeah. Okay. The murders and everything that you see happening are not by happen chance. These is passage of rights, as what you thought you saw with the hoplites, as far as Greece and Athens are, to go out and get the gypsies and kill you a gypsy, to go out and hunt the primal animal and everything like that. Right. Most people aren't seeing this for what it is because it's been downplayed by the very system that is supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people. Right. And they are throwing it in your face because I would say 90% of the people who are true to this land, you have a lot of foreigners right now who had dual citizenship, who weren't here, who all of a sudden flew into this country in 2018. I'm serious. And nobody's been paying attention except for those of us who like to look at the flight manifest, talk to people who saw all these people coming in who are still alive, okay? And you're seeing the perversion of our soil by this goofy in California talking about 28th Amendment and all this other stuff that he wants to do. that has nothing to do with the oath that they supposedly took. But you can see them over there in China playing with the little children. Governor Newsom and the guy in New York, that African, I don't mind calling him that, who's betrayed the people and he's doing it fluently. We don't even want to get into Lori Lightfoot in Chicago, and we don't even want to go into Trudeau. That he's ignored by all of them. They're like, you just a monkey. And the fact that Russia's only 55 miles away from Alaska, how do y'all feel about what's going on? And are you starting to reason the reality of why they want to try and take your guns to which they never can, because our Constitution is supreme. We know that there's a lot of underlying things and certain commissions and stuff that have the UN believing, because y'all know in 2019, 19 or 20, the UN went into Denver, Colorado, and took over the airport.
Yeah,
and they were forced out because the people, 1% like, oh, they ain't having that.
Was that Denver International Airport?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they look so stupid.
Yeah.
But right now, those very people are still on the soil, and they just over the last 2.5 years, they have let in over 18 million people. And the majority of them are not South Americans.
Right. The majority of them, they weren't naturalized in this nation, actually.
They came from other places, because the UN shouldn't even be who it is. The UN is our enemy.
And it's funny because they're right here in the USA, and I'm talking about the United Nations. The main headquarters is in New York City.
Hello, right?
Yeah.
I've been there. I used to argue for the indigenous people of this land. So, yeah.
They would say, and it's funny you bring that up, because it's almost like we're indebted to the United Nations, but the truth is they're indebted to us. They should be. But denial happens in everything, and everybody's brain, everybody gets that denial bug.
Well, you know what? What does denial do? Isn't it a false, comfortable place?
Yeah.
And check this out. Look at this. I love what DJ. This is a good brother of mine. He gets into terminology and language like I do. DJ put up, everyone should have their own answer for creation on their own relationship with Creator. It's no one else's business. Exactly. That's why. And see, the enemy has used religion and everything else to be copious in creating division. Right. See, like my man said, he's a Christian. I'm all for it. The thing is, how far are you willing to go into that religion and willing to accept everything they find out? That's nobody's business. That's for self environment. We should not be pushing our religion or whatever we believe on nobody. That's why I'm so comfortable with people who have their religion, as long as they're really delving into it. Because if I see a hypocrite, I'll call them a hypocrite. No, you're
right.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of put them both hand in hand, especially like
there's a balance. There's a balance.
Right. Nobody likes to be like I am a Christian, but I don't push that on other people because I don't like it being pushed on me. One of the things I also don't like being pushed on me is sobriety, whether people say, hey, you should stop drinking, or you should.
That's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business. So
you have to come into that on your own. I don't know if you watched any of my videos. My thing is, I know Christians, Muslims, and Hasidics. They get along marvelous.
Of course.
And I'm sitting here going, the media and all these people, that's why I said people need to leave it alone, because it is worse than a strong drink. It is a collusion of toxicity on a level beyond murk and mire.
Right.
It is a conviction of poison. And when people come around me talking to me, media, if they're not doing it for study purposes, and they're coming with that analogy to push it as if they have a belief, that means they don't know. And see, that's the problem with a belief. If you don't delve into something to know it, and I don't care if you have to convince yourself. I tell people, you look in the mirror every day and tell yourself you love yourself. Do something different from how you did it yesterday. Allow your right hemisphere to start working. I believe that to be practical, based on medicine, not false medicine, but on not the lethargy of what we're dealing with, but to supplement ourselves in a way that removes the extreme of the world they've created around us.
Yeah.
I believe that sometimes we have to say, okay, I can't pantomime, but I need to push that over there like getting that damn hard ass turd out. Excuse my language, but I'm just saying we are sometimes constipated with all the crud they come up with.
Yeah.
And we don't want to accept them. We don't debate people's religion. Now, me, I can go hard because I am so affluent. I mean, I can sit here and you could ask me about Jericho 399 because people have watched me study and read it to people because I wanted to be more involved, questioning and sitting down for days and weeks talking to pastors and deacons until I realized what's done in the dark, meaning them, it comes to the light. So I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I said either y'all live and you make sure that the people know that these books, because every time I went into a so-called church, because you got to remember the cathedral and those were healing centers. They weren't places for religion. That's not what they were of Grand Tartary. That is as a perversion created by the Vatican. Because you got to remember that all those popes that went in there, they are Sephardic or crypto Jews.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
Okay. And I'm a historian when it comes to that because when I chose to listen to my grandparents and great grandparents and my great uncles and I started studying, I opened my mouth and I would always get a shoe and a backhand and a foot in my mouth, my head, and my ass. And but yet I was still being told to be quiet until the appropriate time.
Right.
People have a hard time when their knowledge is based on what's been handed to them.
When I see what you just said, and I do see it because I've seen it my whole life, especially with any governing body, how big it is or how small it is. It could be as small as a church or as big as a government. There's always the saying, keep your mouth shut. There's always that saying. And the reason is because we want the little kid to keep his mouth shut because we don't want him or her to spoil a good time for everybody else.
Stir the pot.
Yeah. Yes. There you go.
You know, I'm a person that's more into knowing. And what I don't know, I let be until it's meant. If it's meant for me to know, unless it's not relegated for me to know.
Right.
I tell people the church, and this is well known, is not some building. Your temple. And this is what they did. And I have sources of information and notes and stuff from college, and because I got so deep into it, and Hindu practices and yoga and everything else. And I started realizing that if we're looking at this as part of the church, then how am I going to look at myself? If I have got to read to assimilate that information in, am I putting it in this building, this fictional building that for some reason is not like the ancients of not too long ago, but obscured and not resonating in good vibration and frequency, but a containment box is what these homes are now, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm reading and studying religion, if they say it's good food for the soul, then why do people not read it but go and listen to somebody else? Like that energy up there of that cheater and that people who takes money because the fiat ain't worth nothing based on 1971, right? Yeah. And also that money, when we had free energy up until the fall of Tartary, all right, in the 1800s, okay, the last fall here of the Republic of Tartary, before they started printing that crap, and then they had to lie about all this coin and everything else and salt when that's not the truth of our real history.
Right.
It's I said to myself, if you got to take that good information in here, then go outside. Yeah. Gather outside under the heavens and be one with the heavens. The universe is within you, just like all the heavens and the hells are. Yeah. If you turn ashes to ashes, dust to dust, like if we come from it and we return to it, don't that mean when that 7 ounces of source goes back to the source of where the greater information is? When we read this stuff, we don't self-afflict ourselves and curse everybody. We feed this, the temple, the house of God. For ye are gods. Isn't that what it says in Jeremiah? I'm just saying, I'm just repeating what's in the good book, right? Yeah. So we have this immolation, this where we all outside ourselves, and most people turn around and go, well, this is what the Vatican say. In the New Testament, we can go and do a whole lot of kikik, and then on Sunday, we can seek forgiveness. When, first of all, how can you be forgiven if you can't forgive yourself.
Yeah.
People learn that right off the bat. If you can't question yourself, if you can't be responsible self, how can you ever correct yourself?
Right.
Religion, sadly to me, is an outside influence. And I always tell people, if you're going to get involved, make it eternal.
Yeah.
Don't be the dim light in the darkness. Be the light that unveils and shows the darkness for what it is and puts the darkness where it needs to be.
Yeah. 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 Very true.
I hope that makes sense. You know, I mean, I've done this for so friggin' long, and it's not an ego. It's just like, how much longer? I realize that that's infinite. We never stop learning, and we never know everything. And I humble myself because I don't know everything. I don't know really nothing. What knowledge I do have, I'm going to share it, and I'm going to share it with all conviction. See, that can be taken as a religion, which is a beautiful thing, and it can be helpful and beneficial to somebody. But I want to move away from religion. I want to get back to, so how do y'all see everything that's going on in the world and how they're not listening to the people? We have an individual over there calling himself Shemitic, and y'all know who created the term in 1942 to say, well, if they want to say something, just say anti-Shemitic and everybody will leave you alone. All right? Of the Ashkenazi consortium, who was not a religious individual himself, who was part of the Belfort Agreement. And they're over there murdering the actual indigenous people of that land. And,
right.
And I don't sway different from it because it's a reality. And I saw how they're dealing with the Hasidics in Palestine, they call Israel. They are locking them up and beating them. Like, this is a real disease. And when they talk about, every time the media comes on with these people talking about they murdered the people, and first of all, after 5 years of being in Palestine, the first thing they did, they would go into houses and they would tap the men on their head, and when the men would wake up, they blow their brains out. They take the babies and throw them out in the street. That's what the Ashkenazis were doing in Palestine in 1960s, 58 to the 60s. They were murdering the people, burning them outside, blowing them up, everything. I'm talking about straight up Holocaust. You can't even figure the numbers. And just like two of the videos that I can't upload to Instagram or even on YouTube, they're literally taking them out into these things. They use their little the Israeli, so-called Israel, Ashkenazi bulldozers and backhoes, and they're walking the young fighting men out there who didn't fight or nothing, and they're actually executing them, as you saw, man, all those Nazis doing to the so-called gypsies, who are mostly Spanish and French, of a mulatto mix in Germany. People have a hard time doing that when I tell them that. When I was in Germany, whether it was kill or pray, wherever I was in Germany, I would listen to them old heads, and they were like, they were scared to talk, but they were like, it's all a lie.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, hell, I'm Ashkenaz. I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
Because World War I was three cousins made to fight by the goddamn Rockefellers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, they're all neighbors, and, you know,
they were still czars and burgomeisters and stuff like that based in Tartary.
Right.
But they were the new ones, not the original.
Right. My take on it is, especially, okay, like in recent history, we just had a pandemic that nobody asked for, but it happens. Every 100 years, a world pandemic will happen. Us as humans governing ourselves, and no, I did not want it. It ruined a lot of lives. I lost my girlfriend because of it, but I'm over that now. You know, it kept people more secluded, more divided. So my take on it is actually in the form of a question. What did you think was going to happen? And I predicted it the day my girlfriend broke up with me. I told her, I said, there's going to be another war coming up. And because she was breaking up with me, she was like, I'm ignoring you. I'm not talking to you. And then less than 9 months later, because this happened in April of 2021, and then February 24th is when the Russians invaded Ukraine.
Boom.
2 days later, she messages me asking, hey, can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she was like, hey, what's your what is your opinion about this? I'm like, well, it's a very hairy situation. And I didn't go rewind and say, hey, I told you so. I avoided all that. It made me a better person. But basically, what I'm saying now is, hey, I told you so. I told you it was going to happen. And people were in la la land.
Mm-hmm.
People were trapped inside of their make-believe land. You have your streaming devices, you have your internet, you got your food, you got your house, you got everything you need. Okay. Make sure if you go to a store, you put a mask on, all that stuff. Yes, that's the
Enslavement.
It's the enslavement. That's not freedom.
No,
we're in a free country, but yet you have to wear a mask walking into a store. What's that about? So then there's other people saying, excuse me, can you put your mask on? Well, if you don't like me wearing my mask, what are you doing in the supermarket? Aren't you supposed to be at home being a good little citizen? So,
and who are those? Those are the very indoctrinated people. They're their own death state.
Oh, these are the
first
people.
First of all, you know that 2019 it was all a test, and it was to prove exactly what they have been working on.
Right. So you got a madman in Russia who wants to take back the land that he believes is rightfully his from the Soviet era, forgetting that there was an agreement signed after the collapse of the after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And after the fall of the Iron Curtain, there was agreements and there was treaties that were signed. There was things that were signed. History repeats itself.
Well, I'm going to share something. I'm going to see if you know this.
Know
that Russia and America were allies during World War II.
Oh, yeah.
But World War II was no more than a test bed, regardless of what people think. Because you got to remember that Stalin, Bolshevik, he's an Ashkenazi. That's what he was. He was
right.
Ashkenazi. Bottom line. It made up 87% of the country. And Night of the Long Swords and the Final Revolution, they went ahead and after World War II, what did they do? They got rid of all the Abkhazarians, the original people of that land, based upon it being Georgia. Listen to this now. Putin is part of the dynamic, and he's the one who wants to resist it. He didn't want to go to Ukraine. He didn't want nothing to do with it. But because he is also part of that damn bloodline, you got to remember, Russia was always considered the niggers of Russia because they still have a lot of the old Abkhazarian bloodline, which are the original people to which the Ashkenazis stole the Khazarian identity. Going into Ukraine, what people have a hard time understanding is Ukraine were always Nazis.
That's why he said what he said.
I have friends who are Ukrainian and Russian who served in the Marine, Air Force, and the Army. They all love each other and get along. Hell, some are married each other, and they can't even believe what's going on, but they know it's a big act to draw us into a bigger spectrum of war.
Right.
And there are people over in Ukraine who are partying it behind off. Ain't nobody fighting. There are people over in Russia who ain't even paying attention out there bushcraft and making little stuff out in the woods. But there are the ones being sent to fight. I mean, Ukraine and Russia sent a whole lot of homosexuals into war who never had no training.
Right.
So why is people having a hard time realizing that this is bigger than what people see? And the fact that they went out there, I always say believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, but always pay attention to the chants in the background. Who are those people going, war, war, war? And I'm going to be in the front and saying, what is it good for? And I'm saying absolutely nothing. But see, the problem is nobody's stopping all these Ashkenazi Zionists who are all of a sudden in all the positions of our military, government, water, that waterworks, and everything else.
Right.
Who made the underhand deal with the UN, to which is illegal and goes against the Supreme Constitution. That everything they're doing, for those who took a fake oath, has nothing with the truth of the Constitution, because nobody wants to abide or stand up. And most of the people running around talking about they Minutemen, you ain't taking the guns, they ain't ready to fight nobody. We still have too many racism, too many dumb ass people, too many people who have been chemically lobotomized, and a whole plethora of other things. That's why they're watching all our platforms. Where did he go? What happened? Oh, he must get on back. Come on back in, brother. But anyway, right? And hey, look, stop Stop with the religion and all that. Y'all. Now I said we're going to better ourselves. What did I do the other day? Didn't I invite y'all into a different place, my beloveds? Thank you. But anyway, yeah, I think he had to go do something. But anyway, and more, some of y'all can come in as well. All right. What did I say? God dog, y'all just sitting on the sideline, nobody talking about nothing. Anyway, he's bringing up some good points. The thing is, when I listen to the guys who I chat with, and they're like, man, I don't know what's going on over there. And I'm like, do you have family? Yeah, but they don't even, some of them are like, they don't even like what's going on. You have people who are Ukrainian and Russian that can't stand what's going on. They're looking at this like, what in the world? And plenty of them are dead. Not all, far from it. But they're like, what's going on? You have, like I said, you have Hasidics. We're talking about people who are practice the religion, right? Of Judaism. And they don't stand with Israel. They don't stand with nothing happening. Why is this? It was being hidden in the beginning, but now you see it everywhere. You see what I'm saying? And the problem is people have a hard time dealing with that reality, and it's sad. You know what I'm saying? It's really sad because there are lives being lost, and y'all don't know when a life taken can make you a sociopath. Sadly, there are those who get used to it, and it becomes like numbers, and that individual will never be the same. And this is what they hearken and what they barter on. They need this. Well, getting past that bloodletting, walking over the stench of the decaying bodies, it messes up the light of who you are and takes you into another place. Where did George go? Where did he go?
I see what's going on.
Oh, okay, but my thing is, how do y'all feel? So I can put some things up in here. How do y'all feel about this implication to World War III based on what little knowledge you have? Because everybody has a little. Nobody's working with the underground government and military. All right, those hardened, like, sadly, y'all probably wouldn't stand a chance. Maybe a few you might against them. But how do y'all feel about that? Instead of, let's get off the religion and stuff. Taking the land, it's all in, still allies in one family. Also five permanent. Let me see. There are also allies in one family. UN Security Council 5 permanent members: USA, UK, Russia, China, and France. But the UN is not even supposed to be really in existence. People, and that's why I'm reading about it. So I always express, please come on over. When I pull up William Cooper and all these different things, come on over and just listen to what has been put out there. And then based upon that information, research it. Because a lot of people, information is staunch. It's pragmatic to only a small percentage. Yeah, I don't even call them the elites no more, brother. I just had to use that term. I don't even use that term. I literally call them leeches, parasites, fungi. Not even the hue of man. You know what I'm saying? What did they say, Rhonda?
He had to take a phone call.
Oh, okay. No, cool. And I truly believe. No, I don't believe anymore. I know. I'm still working on that. You give something energy. You really do give it energy. We must be the resistors that redirects energy. Them scaring babies, going for the pineal gland and the serum and all that. I already shared with y'all in posts and everything, the synthetic androchrome, right? Why would they make that if it's a known fact that somebody had to be delving into the real stuff? It's like steroids back in the day was made from dead cadavers. Now it's all synthetic. As you know, as Dr. Seavey and a whole lot of other people have stated, your body is not meant to take anything synthetic. People have, it's hard to let go of what they have given. I'm saying stop even saying that and know that it is easier. It's easy peasy. It's like making lemonade. Roll a lemon, cut it in half, and with your hands squeeze it. Don't use no metal apparatus or anything. You get the right amount of what you need. And then pour the water until you're satisfied. Warm water. You see what I'm saying? People, what was that, hun? I think no World War III, they're micromanaging. You don't think no World War III? As long, yeah, don't think it because you give it energy. If you think it, we assist in manifesting it. Right now, they have billions of people giving that crap energy, and it's manifesting. You have people who fought in the last 20-year war being called who actually want to go back and fight. You have CIA operatives who are over in Ukraine creating destabilization, blowing up power lines and oil stuff. You have these underground monkeys doing a whole lot of stuff. Are y'all aware of all the stuff that I'm mentioning? And there's a whole lot more. You have SpaceX being a deflector and a distractor. You have this guy who's talking about a giant in the mountain, like that woman on the plane. That guy back there is not for real. Those are distractions. And every time people get closer to comes from higher than look to Rome, all wars lead to Rome. Actually, Rome was everywhere, but the ideology of the Zionists, yes. And I don't even call that place the Vatican because that was a grand center for healing. And we had one over here as well that was destroyed. I've already showed the picture of it. People are paying attention. I'm at working from inside out. Okay. All right. World War III is EW3, U.S., we the people, and the Indians. It's actually against us more so than anything. Right now, what you have seen them planning and putting together here is actually against us and everybody else who, you got to remember, nobody's really going out and training and CQBs, and nobody has the land or utilizing the land to bring people in trustworthy to mitigate and dig underground trenches of dump. But I think about Vietnam and China and all of Japan, how they dug up underground. And even though, and they had miles upon miles, we have it too, but we just can't access it because we have a fictional government in place, keeping everybody locked in the box. You see what I'm saying? Let me see. What was that? Many Jews too. The Jewish police and ones who ran camps said they were worse than Nazis. Yeah, they're not Jews anyway. They're Ashkenazis. That's the reason why I'm making the correction here. If you still want to hold on to what they've given you and not pay attention to that, which is well known, that's why it's important to change the energy. You have a switch, like let's say laid out. This is what we do. We assist one another to better one another for better information, so that way we don't keep giving energy to things that don't exist. They're not Jews. Okay? They're Ashkenazis. They are Sephardic or they're crypto. And that means they're not the real Semitic people by the narrative for those who read the Bible and actually read it and have understanding. They are people that have utilized an identity and a whole slew of individuals, probably Cabbage Patch or orphans, and given them an identity to do what they do because most of the Zionists aren't religious. The Belfort Agreement was to create that and then to have the perversions move around and mitigate people and train them to create harm and stuff like they did the ancestors of the Algonquins in Europe and the Abkhazarians in Georgia or Russia and over here. See, that's how the information and the sources of information are everywhere. Just most people aren't directed to them places. Hey, I am Baby's Girl Slaughter. What's going on? So yes, as far as in the camps and everything like that, of course they were worse. But the most people that were killed were the gypsies. Those people who are still a remnant of the Spanish Moors, if you want to use that terminology, the French, Belgium, Spaniards, the Portuguese. I'm serious. They were in those camps who just wasn't what was going on. And they were the ones mostly put to the slaughter. And they were burning, getting rid of the bodies because they didn't want the world to see it. But you got to remember, Hitler was a Rothschild. He was an Ashkenaz. But he was a vegan. And that's why his people came over here in South America, all places, to look at old world technology and everything else. The flying bell. And you see, y'all think all this stuff is new. Now they have acquired this through reverse engineering, and they have all this stuff moving secretly with their well-groomed individuals. And while we've been fighting and based on race and religions and everything else, they have been moving ahead because they've had all these wars they've kept us in. And with the false narratives of history, that's why it's important to pay attention to George Orwell, pay attention to Mark Twain. And that's like I said, when you look at those two, you'll get a whole lot of names of other individuals, Jane Elliott, and you'll realize that these things we give energy to keeps us from energizing ourselves. When I was expressing to people that women are our most powerful weapon, and we are the most powerful vice to protect it, people thought I was crazy. People are starting to realize there's a truth to it. Now you see the dynamic reason of why they have to make women and cis men and cis this and all these pronouns and all this stupid stuff. Yeah, well, let him get his thing chopped off, and when he goes in there, let him go to the gynecologist. He's gonna be like, "You need to go see a urologist, bro." That's what's gonna happen. It don't matter with all the stuff that they do. Okay, from the 80s, stealing women's urethras and who went in there for a toe operation in Detroit, to the body chop shop in Arizona down here, where they were experimenting, trying to make Frankensteins with little heads on big bodies and all the arms and livers and torsos, and on ice, going on to China and all these different places, experimenting on in California. This is the real stuff. But because it's not known, people can't. Everybody's energy is going to all the crap that's fake line media and what they see on YouTube. You have agents of chaos on YouTube putting out information, and people look at it because they are very well practiced and scripted. They are great actors. And because they give a little truth, and then you go, by them putting in the other information that is very distractive, right?
Propaganda.
Yeah, we're walking sponges. You know what I mean? Mikey Cox, what's going on, beloved? What's that? Hitler was a member of the Masonic Lodge in Montana. Yeah, I know. Yes, definitely. He was what was that? He was the emissary between Lord Balfour and Queen Elizabeth that made the Balfour Declaration possible. Yeah, hello. Why do you think they went and got all them Nazis here and they sacrificed a few? There was a couple they couldn't, because there were still staunch people who weren't involved in all these goofy secret societies and stuff. They were arduous in what they've been dictated to and bloodletting. I tell you, that bloodletting stuff will make you a sociopath. When people thought Idi Amin, they said, well, Idi Amin saw what was going on and he was done with it. They wanted him to play a bigger role, so they all of a sudden they had to make him out to be a cannibal. No, he was protecting his land. He didn't want no part. He was not. Every time you go against them, they'll turn around. You see it in the music industry, you see it in Hollywood. You see, come on, they'll turn around and make you. They'll turn you into a victim on your basically your own circumstance, but they'll make you the enemy of all the people. Idi Amin wasn't bad to his people. That's a lie. He was getting rid of all the ruffians. We think about the killing fields. Why do you think they were taking teachers and scientists out there? Because they were working with Britain and France, poisoning the people, the fluoride in the water and everything. They took them out there, and it didn't matter who. They believed them all to be the problem of how they got to imperialism. And America, so-called, not us, the Zionists over here that were starting to control the pot in Europe and everywhere else, loved that. Look what we created. They're too dumb to know. But Vietnam, they were like, wait a minute. But even their dictator, where was he getting learned at? He came to America and he went to Britain, right? People don't understand that it's bigger. He was able to die old, right? He wasn't assassinated. People have a hard time dealing with this. Now, when you look at certain individuals, like in Egypt, when he says, no, we're going to take our gold and we're going to, he was on coke and everything, but he had stopped. And Muammar Gaddafi, and when he says, and he's of that damn same bloodline, he said, I'm not part on. Power and them drugs got the best of him. And they said, okay. They took him out.
Who, Gaddafi, right?
Yeah. Muammar Gaddafi, yes. Because he wasn't going to play the game. He was actually going to say, no, let power corrupt him.
Yeah, he didn't care.
Not corrupt. He realized that, wait, I don't want no more. He was on coke and stuff. He didn't want no more to do with it. He didn't want no more to do with it. And he wasn't murdering his people and all that crap. What he did in the beginning, because he was part of that whole thing. That's the experiment. That idiot of North Korea, he's part of the same damn circle.
Right.
The president over in South Korea, they're part of it.
When rock stars stop doing drugs, they suck. And nobody wants to go to their shows anymore. Kind of like what happened to Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead.
And he started talking against everybody.
Yeah.
See, this is what people don't pay attention to. Why? Because right now we got the little goofy knucklehead talking about my coochie's pink and my booty hole's brown, and P. Diddy with his little gay self running around abusing and sexing up little children. And we got all this nonsense in certain communities. And then you've got certain people within the Pelicans Network who are doing the devil worship and everything else when people aren't aware that the devil is within you. It's not outside you. They got to have something to blame instead of holding themselves accountable. So if we can mitigate and make people get to something else, well, there is some darkness out here. So there's a devil, obviously. But the thing is, the way it's being played out, I mean, Alistair Crowley, do as thou wilt. I mean, to have somebody like Puff Diddy with his big goofy locks on his head because he's no Samson walking around, dancing with what's her name, who does the spirit blood cooking. I mean, and the people, the kids, it's programming conditioning. Nobody can see things for what they are because they're distracted with all the garbage. And because the system, I was going by school and I heard them playing that music outside, and I was like, from the school, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Is that to make the kids comfortable or to further entrap them? That sponge and keep filling them with, because the parents are struggling with work, abuse, this, that, infidelity, all those things based upon chaos, the chaotic world where there's no love.
Right. Makes me think more when we talk about the children nowadays, how they're not like, and every generation says it, and I see that pattern because I was young once too, you know what I mean? And now I look, and I've caught myself saying it, that the kids are no good and this and that. And in all honesty, it's not their fault.
Right.
Economies get bad. Inflation goes up. Parents are going to be forced to find another job and then another job. They're not having that presence with their children. So the kids are going out, having a good time with their friends,
by design.
By design.
By design.
So, is it the kid's fault? No. Is it the parents' fault? No. Whose fault is it? It's the ones that are controlling the things. I mean, yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles. And it's a self-correcting thing because most logical people will say, well, I can't afford kids, so why have them?
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. There's your population control.
That's the Margaret Sanger, the people who own the banks and everything else. They all work together.
Oh, yeah.
The cohesion is deep. And people, it's like the civil rights movement. You see everybody utilizing the civil rights movement is it is the Indian Civil Rights Act. And people don't even know to look at it and read it based upon our people. That's when Malcolm, I mean, even Malcolm says, you and I, when he went to Africa and came back, he learned from them. He came back and says, you want to be black, nigger, and everything, but you and I are Aboriginal.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they had to set it up. The FBI, oh, we got to get rid of this brother. They
didn't like that. Yeah, because it ruined.
And also, let me say, Martin Luther King Jr., one of his greatest speeches. And here we find a Negro languishing in this, what? In his own what? In his own land?
Yeah.
James Baldwin, when you look at the Larry Cooper, Cowboys and Indian, it comes to the heart, which goes to find that you are the Indian. But nobody wants to hear none of that. The system doesn't want to teach that. They want to keep pushing the necromancing word Negro and the black of death and all that void of color crap.
Yeah.
I remember Proto-Germanic word black meant blank, wan, bleach, without color. Like, hello.
Yeah.
And we're not. We're brown. We're the original Redskins because the French, by the terminology, fighting the Yamasee and everything else, they said we're going to scalp them and make their skin run red. Which means every time they came around in French, I forget how to say it, the word was red skin. That means to bleed the neck,
You bring up a good point because
it's real history. It's real history, yeah.
Like my grandmother was one of the people who said, and you know, my father too, and it doesn't make them racist if they use the term colored. That's the way people spoke back then.
Brother, you're colored. Look, want me to show you a crayon box? Are you not in there? You're not white, bro. You're opaque, pale. You're less than melanated. You know what? I used to tear the teachers up that were teaching the kids black and white. And they were like,
color myself in.
And I'm an artist. They're like, we didn't think about that. I'm like, yeah, because you don't think. You got a curriculum. I said, so you know what the word, DJ, tell them what the word curriculum originates from. Curriculum. Let's watch. He's gonna pull it up. Curriculum. It's like policies. They're not laws. They create more harm. We were the cowboys. Exactly.
Yeah.
Why did they make Tonto and the Lone Ranger pale skin and have an Italian playing Tonto? I just read his name yesterday when they both was Negroes. Melanated, excuse me. My tongue, I got to tighten it up. Sorry about
Look
that.
at Nico.
Oh, man, my apologies, y'all. Listen, X stands for here, hold on. Let's see what you got up there, bro. What's that? X stands for the solstice and eclipse over America every 6 months. X stands for G's. I don't talk about that. DJ, I asked you about curriculum. Because I don't feel like looking it up. Curriculum, school curriculum is a form of indoctrination. It has nothing to do with making sure that trade school is different. Trade school is what we taught everybody. That's why Martin Luther King says, and we're coming to get our check because we taught everybody how to field corn and to grab maize and grow and, you know, curriculum. Here you go. Listen to this. And he's going to be laughing, I know. Curriculum, vitae, a resume. It's like something that's like an order. We want you to do this. When I was in college, and you probably went to college as well, right? A lot of you, right? You ever notice like when the semester come around and you go to return the book and they got a different one? Man, what the hell? And it's not that it's better. Because I used to sometimes purchase an extra college book just to read it. I'm like, what? So this book is $10 more and they got less information than that one? And I used to be like, what? You know how you go into the bookstore at the college and you go and pick your books up and stuff like that? And I used to like paying for mine because I didn't, you know, and then I would take them back or sell them, you know, for half the price and stuff. I really paid attention because I was the older cat in college, you know, and I had so-called professors who were looking past the fact that I was world traveled and knew a few languages, and the deans would have to correct them. Be careful with that man. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because I'd be like, Dean, who's this idiot teaching this class? And I had 4.2 GPA, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, and the dean was like, Mr. Branch, let's call me Ray. Don't ever call me Mr. Branch, nothing. That's like trying to quote my birthday every day. You know, you're taking them years off my life. I'm more than my name. Yeah. Boy, and one of them things like, please do not disrupt that mother sucker there. They used to come to the classroom and talk to they used to point over at me too. And all the students look who knew me, right? Because I worked at the school too, right? And they'd be like, and she'd come in there, okay. And I'd be like, I know it's a liberal state. Please don't say nothing reckless or stupid, ma'am. And she would look at me, okay, today. And she wouldn't even make the little, because a lot of them make a stupid comment and get right into the class. Yeah, I didn't tolerate none of that. Okay, curriculum, aka, here we go. Well, yeah, this is another one right here. Curriculum, aka a theosophical society based
Latin based.
Yes, and it has nothing to do with teaching. Well, it has nothing to do with grafting people in to be better for society. It has a whole lot with mind control.
Yeah.
Curriculum, mind control. Yeah. When y'all start looking at what makes up the brain and the composite of it all, then y'all come back at me. All right. I love sharing information. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot of things. Syllabus in the Roman Catholic Church, the summary of points decided by papal decree regarding heretical doctrines or practice. Bam!
Very good.
Jimmy, stop waving your hands. You're interfering with the light frequency. My fault. My apologies. Woo, woo, woo. Abracadabra. No, let me stop. The Council of Nicaea. And people, which is like if you go and buy furniture and IKEA and all that, people don't even get it. People see, I remember when I was at Thomas Edison building on the second floor, I was learning to make furniture. The most wonderful and beautiful thing, other than gardening and the farm they had on the reservation, it was the most beautiful thing, was making little carriages and rocking chairs and tables. And I was like, brah, you know, it was a whole new thing. And then I learned aluminum welding, that toxic crap. I was like, man, you know, and then I started learning the math behind it. That's not curriculum. That's hands-on. Everybody should be an apprentice. Everyone should choose what they want to do and work in that field. That's how you build a better nation. That's what Candy Stripers did. Nursing school actually became practical and dumbing people down. I mean, look at this right now. You have foreigners who could be join the police force. And what was the other thing that I was talking about yesterday and the other day, guys, about attorneys? Don't you have to take the bar exam now? All right, that's what they're going to make. Attorneys, I went to law school, don't have to take the bar exam. See, nobody's paying attention because when they start moving y'all into these concentration camps, the couple of million in California in the desert, the ones out here in Utah, and when they start moving y'all in there, they're going to summarily just have them go, death, workforce, You know what I'm saying? You think I'm kidding? ETM, the Council of Trent. There's a lot of different things. So what y'all? Here she. Listen to this. You're gonna give me a seizure, girl, and kick you. I know you gotta look close. Now you're a nurse. Back up off of that thing. In Chicago, it's everywhere. The thing about the bar exam, I believe it's supposed to be. That's why I first heard it, but I wish Original Lone Wolf was in here. He might be having a good time right now. But I think it's going to be. You know how it is. It's like an octopus, or branches that grow. Branches out. Something else. How do y'all feel? Don't attack the gay community. We don't do that. How do y'all feel about this pronoun stuff?
Brainwashing.
I want to be serious here.
I think it's brainwashing.
And why do you say brainwashing?
Because it's getting them to step out of reality. It's getting them to think blue is green, that, like you said, upside down, inverted, up is down, down is right, right is wrong. Because if the kids aren't listening to their parents because they're in the teacher's face all day, so they're going to take what they say is gospel. And then you put them out here, they don't know anything. A lot of these kids can't read and they're graduating now. You got obedient slaves.
How y'all feel about that?
Population control.
Okay. Population control. What do you also, any of y'all, how do y'all hive mind self-extinction? Well, could you elaborate on that a little bit, DJ? I know what it means, but could you elaborate for those who might not? Yeah, Ambassador T, that was a good one too. Put that up. Hive mind, y'all know what that means. Hive mind, right? The hive, the whole gathering, the collection for self-extinction. I like that. I wanted to see what he had to say more. Me too. Late college student, 3.9 GPA, always called the rebel. And that's what we need. But the thing is, we question everything because we realize some of that crap they showed us and taught us. You get to the job and it's like, what was all that and all that talking about? Now we owe a fiat that ain't worth gold or silver because of Nixon in 71 to a system meant to hold us down and rob us based upon Social Security and a death certificate, birth certificate. And the goal and stuff that's meant for us, these sons of a guns have utilized it against us. You can't make this stuff up. Exactly. Excellent with the GPA too. Was that Snow? They're attempting to make mental illness appear normal. They're not attempting. They've done it. Yes, baby. Very correct. Oh, here we go. Very correct, baby. Hold on. They have been poisoned with tetrazine and programmed by iconoclasm and steganography and a media coupled with the destruction of historical value of fathers and a lack of respect for any authority and too much burden put on the mother. And I like that you put up the tetrazine. Remember the brother, the guy that came out, what was that, in 90 something or something like that, early 2000, who talked about the frog and everything? Excellent, bro. Excellent breakdown. It's excellent. What's that, JB? You know, it's bad when they don't even teach the kids cursive no more. I thought they went back to doing it. But you're supposed to sign checks and contracts. Let it make sense. Yo.
And you can't read old documents.
And that's why I say it's important to homeschool. The basics and everything else hands-on. If you're a mechanic, you're a welder, this, that, and other. If you work with computers and stuff, like get in and learn, because they have free CDs and stuff that can help you. Because college, that was a waste of time when they had the college courses. It's good if you want to go into the greater expanse of it, but they were teaching me the stuff I already knew about. You know, like how to find certain things, what zip is, and all that other stuff. I already knew that. You know, but the grayer of it all, now they have some, like, you know, MIT and stuff like that. You know. Yeah, they're a program of sacrifice. Exactly. What was that, hun? What was that? Because they're now going back to cursive writing. The Gen Z are lacking. Yeah, because they really messed that up when they took that away, didn't they? Your son, he's got an excellent game he's putting together. That Spider-Man game and everything, Snoop. He does the program, so of course he knows cursive, because I know you wouldn't have that. What was that? Martyred multitudes. However, gathering group, or however you want to put it, yes, it's all part of the Margaret Sanger thing. You got to remember that she was funded, as we read. You know, I got the book. We're going to get back into reading it. We didn't stop. I just felt that some things were a little more important at the time. We're going to get back into that. Margaret Sanger, the what you call it, the negro and all that. We're going to get him back. And there's a book I ordered. Was it the day before yesterday, or was it last night? I'll just wait until the book comes in. I ordered one, and I'm going to read it to y'all. I paid, you know, and donations still. Come on, we're almost there. Like, yeah, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for adding 5 or 6 books. What's that, huh? What's that? You got Gen Z in the 30s cannot write in cursive. Wow. Oh, what's going on, beloved? What's going on, tribe, all day? What's going on? So, hey, Pedro, what's going on? What's going on, beloved? What's happening? What was that, huh? My son, Junior, only writes in cursive, and he's left-handed. And his teachers had a problem with it in elementary school. Well, too bad. Oh, well. They can have a problem. You know what? Any teacher has a problem with a child. It's like that it's like that man going to pick up his son, and them women had his son wearing a dress. Ooh!
Wow.
I'd have tore the school up. I was asking them, George. I don't know if you could hear. I was asking. Oh, okay, about this new, you know, this pronoun crap. You know what I mean? Phonetically, I just found it just disturbing. When I first heard it came out, I knew something was going on because I would listen to the children, how they were talking about things. And I was like, you calling yourself a furry? What is a furry? I mean, I was like, you know, I'm older guy now. I'm like, you know, when the cats was crooning on the corners, they would come up and they was doing the slide and everything. I was like, camel walk. He's a camel? No. And I learned how to do the camel walk. Now, you talk to camel walk to these cats, they say, well, no, I'm a cat and I'm a dog.
Yeah.
What the? Cincinnati, what's going on, family? Yes, good to have you here, beloved. All of you. I couldn't believe, because over here, a lot of Navajo, and the students over here at the high school over here. It's they are doing their best to hold on to tradition. Yet you can't control every teacher that comes in touch with your children. When I used to pick up Zach, he's autistic from the school, and I used to see some of these young adults, the Z generation, with the rainbow teddy bear, rainbow. That's indoctrination. That alone, the Mickey Mouse with the rainbow behind it and wearing that's indoctrination. Because people don't know that Disney was Walt Disney bought it from a melanated man, and he detested us. But everything about Walt Disney's on the history, like I always tell people, do y'all know about Peter Pan, what is based on, the deity? Certain things most people will never look at because they get there and it's the blinders on. Because you've been groomed, Coney Island, the roller coasters, and this, that, and the other, and then you go into the list, and they're not paying attention to the actors and the costumes and the deep, dark underbelly of things and the music and the TV shows. They don't hear that, and the fact of Hollywood, the holy wood, the wood, the wand, the magic put over people, the spell, the blinders, Epic Center, all these things that are based in some reality, but also have you escape reality. That stops you from dreaming.
Yeah. Well, it's when you mentioned the boy that was at the school and the father picked him up and he's in a girl's dress.
Mm-hmm.
That made me think. There's a few actors out there. One of them, his name is Dave Chappelle, and he refuses to do anything like that. And in Hollywood, you see that a lot. You'll see a lot of these acts on comedy shows, TV shows. You'll see a male wearing a female dress.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them will say, yes, I'll put on the dress. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And that's the power that they have over them. It's one power that's higher over someone who's weaker, or a group of individuals who's weaker. So Dave Chappelle is simply not caving in for that, and he doesn't have to. You know what I mean? Whereas other people, they feel that they have to. And that's one of the things that's wrong with society, is that there's too much fear out there. And if you don't wear this dress, your contract is done.
Who was that one comedian?
Will hire you.
Who was the one comedian with the blonde hair, with the bald hair? Dave, what's his name?
George Carlin.
Oh my goodness! Whoa, he was a powerhouse.
That's my boy. Yeah,
he broke everything down, man.
Oh, yeah.
He was, and just like Cat Williams, broke it down. Him and Cat Williams.
Cat Williams is another one.
Dave Chappelle is very linguistic with it too.
Yeah. And
he's
are not correct. Just comedy geniuses. They're also geniuses in their own right, because they know the truth. And they tell other people the truth. And that's a wonderful thing. And we lack that nowadays. See, if you had the of their time, the Eddie Murphys, the George Carlins, if you bring that back, society won't allow that anymore. They won't allow their acts to be told, because it cuts into their agenda.
I'm gonna see if you're aware of this, George, but I shared this when I was in college. I did a little thesis. I could put it up on my Google Plus. People aren't aware that blaxploitation was created by the so-called AME Church.
Right.
The blaxploitation movies.
Okay.
Was a Zionist design, but pushed and funded by and in the beginning by the Black Church, by the AME, whatever you call the AME,
right?
Whatever they want to call it.
They also did it with commercials.
Yes,
television
they did.
Commercials.
I
remember
McDonald's, KFC.
How do you call it? The melanated were basically, it was, a lot of them didn't see it, But the ones who did see it, the melanated were humiliated. I mean, if you think about it, I would see a McDonald's commercial and they would use hip hop music, thinking, okay, let's customize this commercial to a customized group of people. And we'll get our product out. And we could get their cholesterol up too and kill them off. You know, it's a sneaky thing. Is it brilliant? Maybe, but it's very sneaky on whoever came up with that, because it's sneaky because you're hurting people, and at the same time you're filling your pockets, you're lining your pockets, and I don't think there's anything genius about that. I mean, it's just corrupt.
Well, it's all subliminal.
It's subliminal, and they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, hey, they got there on the pain and blood and sacrifice of many people.
Oh, right.
And that's the way to stop people from growing the necessary real food and indoctrinate them. People always got these religions talk about halal, don't eat pork. Chicken is more toxic than pork.
Yeah. If you see the way chicken is raised,
it's beyond that. Chickens are nowhere. Chickens were little tiny things.
Right. And
these things are like the pit bulls, man. They can't even walk. Yeah. You know, I mean, like,
yeah, that's not a way. Now, if you look at it, humans are being harvested that way.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
I told you, I got a couple of videos, bro, and they ain't come off the dark web. Literally slaughterhouses of humans. How they're carving them up and chopping them up and putting the bones into a thing that makes the slime. And I'm like, holy smack. I said, these got to be fake. This is not some Hollywood. This is real tall people walking around, cutting these people up, carving them like they've been doing this for years.
Right.
And then it's funny because right before the fake demic, that's what I call it. Soylent Green put out drinks and cookies.
Yeah.
Like, I shared it on Facebook, and people are like, oh, red crazy. And now they walk around drinking it.
Yeah.
I see why you buck-eyes bucket it.
Like I said, it's like Soylent Green meets the Matrix.
Have y'all seen this documentary on all workers at Disney that got caught up in some pedo stuff? What was it on? Was it on Nova? What was it on, JB?
I saw it on Facebook.
On Facebook? I haven't seen that yet. No, but I believe it. We know a lot of people have been getting locked up down there in Florida and stuff, and there with Cali. I truly believe these people who are programmed have a schism. It's one of them, and isms and a whole lot of other stuff. You're right about that. I am, baby girl Slaughter. Yeah, Pedro saying, "What's up to everybody? Y'all give that brother a shout out."
Yoo-hoo.
Original law was settled with trial by combat. If the accuser loses, he dies. If the accused loses, he dies, and the law determines the truth of it. That was an ancient way, just like witches on totters with feather and water. You know what I mean? The feather. You know, that was something that happened in the Carolinas. When I was taking people to some of the sites where some of these witches were buried at, it's funny. They were all in negro and melanated. I'm like, okay, so they tell us one story, the Salem witch trials, and all of them are pale skin, but then I go to some of the sites where they're buried, and I'm like, all right, that's a black gravesite for the people who still use the term black. Something's not ringing right here. And that's why it's important to know that a lot of matriarchs in Haiti, women were able to scream and dance and sing, and the people, the French and Dutch, they were dying on the battlefield just based on that. And people have a hard time dealing with it. But when you go and talk to Maroons and all of them, they tell you, yeah. And it's a written history. It's actually factual. They got the hell up out of there. Haiti, the women were singing and dancing. That's why they were killing the ghost dancers here. The ghost dancers weren't doing no jingle bells, wearing Copenhagen caps and all that. No. When my great-great-great-great-grandma and pa, James Henry Wooten and Lily Wooten, wanted to march that death march. It was not no Trail of Tears. It was a death march. And there were several of them. The way passed it down. My father made sure I knew it. That's why whenever I hear people talking about it and I read a book on it, I'm like, that's a lie. And they forget there's some of us here who actually know what it was all about and what happened. And they were going to the great city. They left because they were tired of fighting over there. the ones who didn't want to fight. And on that march, that was extermination.
Ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, and the ones that made it to Oklahoma, to the great cities out there, before the destruction came, my parents left. My grandparents left before the government tried to exterminate them with, turpentine bombs, cannon, fletchets, and all that other stuff. All right, and giving all these foreigners now, who they imposed to be the Native Americans now, and the Europeans that moved into our houses and homes through segregation in the 50s. That's all we built all that. Just like we repaired the Franklin House, they call it White House. Lincoln, when you go back to the Holiday Inn movie with Bing Crosby and that goofy woman, showing you exactly what Abraham Lincoln looked like. Abraham Lincoln? I mean, come on. They put him on a penny for a reason. It's a smack in people's faces, it's a satire, it's laughing jokes.
Huh. That's why it's on the lowest denominated coin.
The first should be last, and the last should be first. It's all.
Well, everybody can afford it. Everybody can afford it.
It was real copper. And what was the benefit of copper during Tartary?
Copper, guess where it was mined? My island, Cyprus.
And listen to this, and copper mines here, like Jerome, there's like 1,000 different places here in America, and they stopped doing it because they got everything they needed, the resources. That's why I'm reading about the Anunnaki and the custodians, and I'm giving people a way to relegate the internal time clock to allow them to remember, because it's already known through science and medicine that you have 14 generations of information in you, but when you get that as a baby, it blocks it.
Yeah.
It puts that cap on those X chromes and those things of memory and stuff. We have to do our best to undo that. And the only way to do that is grounding and everything else. That's why they want the biggest pores in your body are where? On your feet. So if you ground and the ground is contaminated, you have to override it. You have to know that you are more powerful than that. I keep telling people are more powerful than they can think, that they can even imagine. People have to ascend. Either we ascend or we don't ascend. And if we don't ascend, well, Idris was on the stage at the World Economic Forum. Yeah. Yes, of course. Look who they had playing Bass Reeves. They want to, it doesn't matter if they tell the history in a lie, in the form of a lie. What are the children going to do when they're getting rid of all the elders? They're going to assimilate to that narrative, and that's the picture that's painted, and that's what they're pushing. There's no such thing as no two-continent person, African American. It never existed.
I like your point.
It's all a lie.
Rando, I remember, if you remember my friend Bill, Jesse's dad, he was the one who was a big proponent of that, who said, there is no Afro-American, there is no Greek-American, there is no... We're all Americans. And, Jim, that's what we're missing is, like you said earlier, they don't want us to have togetherness anymore. That if they see that we're having togetherness, that means the party is over for them.
Well, that's how they're taking it. And they start speeding things up.
Right.
Extermination.
So let's accelerate it. And the best way, one of the best ways, and I actually I kind of salute them for this, for doing such a good job at it, but they didn't win, because you see us together tonight discussing intellectual subjects. The pandemic was one of the great things that helped separate us and help keep us down, and help them keep us divided, so they could go to the bank, so they could keep on profiting.
It was an experiment, wasn't it? They wanted to show that we can make them do whatever we want. Yeah. And they won't say nothing, no rebuttal. And then they said that they have an idea. Let's go ahead and create a January 6th. Let's go ahead and create these different fallacies. But it's funny how a month, was it 5 months before the centers came down?
Right.
You gotta remember that place was full of asbestos. It was pretty much worthless, right?
Right.
They had the
Capitol building.
Jewish people flying around and went in there working, supposed to be artists.
Right.
And then two certain Zionists took and put insurance, right? Took out insurance. Then it falls in on his feet, and the first thing the police do, who are unaware, real ones, they grab some Mossad agents. When they get back over to Palestine and so-called Israel, right? They said, well, we went over there, we were over there to record it. It's like you can still pull it up when they say that. It's like, holy Toledo. And they were the ones flying in the helicopter, and they were dancing and singing when they brought it down. You know, like, come on.
Yeah.
And the majority of the people, I was down there. I went to help. And when the second building came down, I had to run into the bagel shop.
That's a good song, by the way.
I was like, Havana Kira.
Yeah, that one.
But anyway, I was covered. The Turks still do the dance. But anyway, I was covered. And like, the dust was hot. And I was like, what the? We standing there holding on. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, you got to be crazy. What's going on here? I said, oh, man, well, this is it. I thought the window, the bagel shop with the glass was just going to blow me back. And I was strong, like 270 pounds. Like, man, listen. Man.
I like how they chose January 6th.
Exactly, yo. Look at the date.
Because January 6th is in the Julian calendar. January 6th is
even Gematria, which is based on
it. Yeah. It's Julius Caesar was the one who created. That's why it's called the Julian calendar.
Right.
It's offset by a few days compared to the modern calendar, and the reason for that is because, so like January 6th and Orthodox Christianity. I don't mean to get back into religion, but it's considered Christmas. It's considered Christmas Day.
I have the whole thing with Saturnina and everything, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. So January 6th is like Christmas Day in the Julian calendar. Is that a coincidence or is it just sheer luck? Who knows?
A coinky-dink. A
coinky-dink.
Yes. A purposeful one. I like that, DJ. Yes, the Pequot, and they still exist. They said they were all dead. I used to go to some of their gatherings.
Right.
There are thousands of them. And they were one, Moby Dick, Friday, all that. And they wanted to eradicate them first because they're the first ones who actually fought against them.
Yeah.
And sadly, you would think that some of our people fought against them. No. It was people coming off the boat who were putting on charcoal on their face and going out at night and killing them.
Right.
And it wasn't, and that's the betrayal that people think happened, to which never happened. My people were banished to Bermuda, which was the original island of Brazil. Exactly. And also the original place called America. So, and that's what people have a hard time knowing these things, because if you're not taught it, it disappears.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? My people were banished to Bermuda. Yeah, I can dig it, brother.
Right.
Facts, and feeding chicken crap so bad that they can't walk. They've been doing that for over 20 some years, 30 years now. And when it was unveiled, then it became a thing, but they quickly stopped that, because what does the Biden administration want to do right now? They want to control the internet. They actually already do. They're watching right now.
Men in tights. Oh yeah, Men in Tights.
Dave Chappelle wore a dress in the movie Men in Tights. Like I said, don't trust these Hollywood puppets. Y'all forgot about that, huh?
I did.
Not me. I got the picture, so it's not.
What dress is he wearing? Is it?
It's not like really. It's on my tablet, I think. Let me see if it's on my phone too. I was going to do.
I totally forgot about that, and I remember Dave Chappelle had the pumps, Reebok pumps, which were a huge hit. Where my father is from, you see, here in the United States, we can afford such luxuries. Those poor people where my dad is from, they were begging me, hey, can you bring back Jordan sneakers, or can you bring back Reebok pumps? I'm like, yeah, sure. I bring them back when I was a kid. My father loved that because we like to impress people. Electronics is another thing that's expensive over there. So we as Americans, we shouldn't forget how valuable we have it. Oh wow, there you go. That's a dress. That's a dress. That's a
That's
what is
based
that?
on Tartary, but that is him in a form of a dress. There's a bigger one I'll pull up right now, and it was effeminate, but yet they want to downplay it. But y'all can also pull it up. I could do that in picture. I don't feel like going in and doing the plus and all that. But yeah.
I believe then the context of that was that he refuses. I don't know if it's because of his.
He didn't want to do Shanae and stuff like that. You know,
Right.
Martin and
Martin Lawrence.
My goodness.
What a funny show!
Yeah, but that how you know that was this little if that wasn't Vogue, you know, and the Hickam Madonna, Vogue, I was in New York and I used to see them, and we see them out there in Central Park. We were breakdancers, Twin City breakdancer, you know, out of Roxy. Pam out of Pro Shop, roller skating rink Pro Shop. She was our manager, and for B Street and all that stuff. And we used to go out there and make jokes of them voguing while we break dancing and popping. So,
Yeah.
You know, that was back in like 83, 84, you know, 82, 83, 84. But I started break dancing around 78, 79.
I miss
Snoop remembers. She knows about those windmills, head spins. We used to get in the big fights, and so, my goodness, it was terrible. People choose to have short-term memory. It is a choice, sadly, but it's a control effort. It's a control effort. It's not without. We can't admonish. It's not without the process behind it, and the process is the enemy's narrative. You know, colonization is the creation of corporations for the purpose of commoditization of foreign nations. The modus operandi of vicious fake locations, what Kabardian fork tongue creations. Well, it is. It's their big speakeasy. It's their play. It's their party. It's their how do they say in Louisiana? Mardi Gras.
Mm.
You know. So here's so Snoop put it up for any of y'all might be able to tap on those. She's putting up the pictures as far as okay. So yeah, maybe go beyond it. Well, I'm surprised Lloyd's not in here. What's that one that DJ what was this? Continuing a 5,000 year tradition of the Moroccans. Yeah, and when I shared with Moors were our people, but they weren't as it's been painted by the religious dichotomy. People lost their mind, didn't they? But when you hear that, you start looking deeper. Then you realize that our people were great seafarers and great swimmers. All of a sudden, in the 50s and 60s, we didn't know how to swim. We were locked out of our swimming pools. We were locked out of our lands. We had not just one punch bowl. We have 27 cities underwater and Great Lakes where so-called rich people live. Look. And when people start hearing that and they realize it, then they start turning around and they start circle a wagon and go, wait a minute. And that's when you start pulling the books out of the back of the cabin and you start going, I didn't know these existed. Well, that's because we like handouts. The satire and the Indian head nickel is crazy when you know about $5 Indians. They real slick with their yeah, very much so. What was that? Frequency is the key. It is. But the thing is, we have to relearn how to regather it. And like I said, the Earth moves at 7.8 to 8 hertz, right? So do we. So if they have this 440, 8440, and 808, which is disruptive, created what, 1939, 49 on the radio? And then or H.G. Wells, who was a big staunch, he was a racist as well, just like Sandow, you know, who got with Margaret Sanger and everything else, all right? Because you remember George Orson Welles dated Margaret Sanger. But anyway, regardless of that, right? They changed the frequency because they destroyed the organs. And they took the one major one that played over 6-point-something million tunes. They took it over to the fake Vatican, that Starfort. Well, that encroachment that was once Starfort, based on Tartary. All right? And created these fake churches. As you're learning more in heaven bearers. You know what I'm saying? And the custodians, how they move. The custodians is what? What did I express about that? See, people have a hard time assimilating to this stuff because it's not what's given, not at the fake churches that misguided our people and betrayed them, not at the education system created by the Rockefeller and OSS based on the United League of Nations. None of it. Everything is to make people docile and dumb them down and slowly take over. Look at the CIA, how many people they've killed of their own operators who weren't with the game. The final takeover had to happen. Nobody looks into this. I don't even think they were putting stars up on the wall.
That's an interesting subject, the CIA.
I don't want to get into it though, because that's a whole nother.
Then we'll save that for another show.
Yeah, that's the top of here. There's a deeper one.
Well, I was just gonna throw it out there real quick about the accidental discovery of crack cocaine.
Yeah. And how it found its way into a community that would never utilize it.
Yeah, right. Huh.
Well, you had to break the family and separate it, right? Social Security. I mean, not Social Security, not just that, but also the welfare when it was given freely to immigrants.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, well, the man can be in the house and da-da-da. The Trailblazers back of Margaret Sanger, to which at that time she was still alive. See,
right.
Nobody wants to have those conversations.
That way it breaks down the togetherness. You see, that's what the government does not want, is people to be together. They don't want families together. They don't want communities together. They want you destroyed and divided, just like I am baby girl's laughter, baby girl slaughter. She said it. Thank you. Yes, they do not want us that. As soon as they see that we are together, that we have togetherness, that means that the swamp is drained for them. That means the party is over for them.
Yeah.
They don't want
very
that.
Correct. Very correct. I put that. Yeah. That was a good. That's definitely a fact. That is definitely. These guys are typing so fast over here. Whew. Oh, what was that one right here? Also, recommend. Where do we go from here as a species? We rise as a collective. You're not a species. You're sentient. Well, if you consider sentient being a species, fine. But yeah, you're sentient. You're living. When we say living is beyond the scope of what they've made life out to be. They made life out to be you come and you go, and that's it. Sentient is forever. They disembowel the physical because they want to destroy that. The thing is, if you're not conscious of how greater you are than the physical, like I always tell people, I'm not my name. I don't celebrate no birthday. Well, I'm trying to rush to an end date or something because they're manifesting it. I can't give that no energy. I can't believe in something that's a consortium of something easily disputed. And it's important that we see things different from how they painted it. I guess we should all become martyrs, you know. And that's the worst thing. We become a martyr. We give up all rights. That's saying, like when I was talking about the people that's burning themselves. You know, we just had a few quite recently. You know, Washington, the brother over in the Congos, the guy in Hindustan, who just want people to get together and love themselves. So what do? Self-immolate, right?
Yeah.
It's all on video. I mean, the guy sat there and he literally set himself on fire. And the people just watched because, hey, this is bigger than them. And he did that. Eyes still blinking, engulfed in flame until his last breath. And there's many videos for those who have a strong stomach and a strong constituting will. But the thing is, that is not the answer. That's playing and placating right into their hands. They enjoy that.
Yeah. It happened in Vietnam.
Oh, it happened all over with the monks and all, man.
Right.
It's been happening. It happened here. A number of people did that. Our people used to listen. Our people used to set themselves on fire and run into the troops, into their tents and everything.
Even my dad told me, he was like, people are setting themselves on fire just to get better hospital treatment on one side of a border as opposed to another side of a border, because on the one side, their country is not providing them any medical assistance, whereas You go on this side of the border. If you're not from this side of the border, you'll get all the medical treatment you need.
That's crazy.
You know, whether it's burning yourself or, you know, stabbing yourself, they'll do whatever they have to do. And like you said, it's not the answer. And I don't condone it.
What was that? Back in 1910, everybody built, but Indians was the $5. Indians village to sign the documents of the Indians for the price of $5 to get the land. Yeah, well, that's well documented. That's well documented, and most people won't even access to that because that's on the microfiche. I used to look at that in the newspapers, you know, the Tribune and all those different newspapers they had in Louisiana and the Carolinas, and even up into the 60s and 70s, which is just ridiculous that you would think that the family say something, but why would you say something when you're given a placket of land and based upon what the enemy's narrative or the new portrait they want to paint? You're not going to tell the children. You're going to tell them, you know, that's what the boarding schools were about. To take the Cabbage Patch children and the orphans and give them new identities, history. Y'all saw the video I did. It's still up on YouTube. And give them a new story. And they did that very well. They beat it in and they killed many of the older ones who did not want to do that, who belonged to. When I tell a lot of the Native Americans, I said, you're Mongols and Mongols. You're of the Greater Tartary. Well, what's wrong with that beautiful history? Because they don't know nothing about it. They were made to believe they were somebody they weren't. And that was a handshake in a lot of land, a desert, not even a well one, until the 60s and stuff. And then they started having people all of a sudden become indigenous, like out of nowhere. Yeah, crack cocaine was always present. Yes, it was free base, all of that stuff was always. Yeah, it's just that how it was pushed. You had, in order to push it into community, you couldn't have strong men. You couldn't have masculine men. You had to have fake sigmas and alphas. You know, divide and conquer. The construct instilled in most humans and some men. When you want to talk about Samaria and all that stuff, yes, exactly. You know, and see, as DJ is stating, excuse me, the rabbit hole is deep.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we can do this all night, but it's y'all know I go to bed kind of early, and I'm ready to go and read a little bit. George, you're always welcome. I wish more of you would have came on in. Y'all being hard-headed, my little autochthonous community. We got many indigenous people. It doesn't matter where they're from. Earth, all right? It's number love and respect. Y'all want to have any final words? Do y'all want to have any final words, George?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for having me on tonight's presentation. Jim, I'd like to thank you for inviting me. Rando, always a pleasure. I'm glad you messaged me. Good sir. Thank you for your service. Jim, I'd like to also thank you for your service. And to all the other servicemen and women out there, thank you all for your service. And yes, this is actually very good for me. It's very therapeutic for me. I would like to continue this because I think we're on the start of something great here. So let's keep this going.
I agree 100%. Definitely. I actually already have something written down for another podcast, and I think all of you are going to really, really like this. I didn't bring up a lot of things. I think there was more than enough going on. I like the organic, natural acquiescence of it, how it just formed itself, and it was able to throw a couple of things in there, because these are some things that probably need to be addressed. The thing is that we have to move away from the believing of their unsound structure, and we have to be the benefiters of what we know. And a lot of times we have to share in order to know and be a little more grounded. I mean, that's my philosophy right now until we acquiesce and move to another level. I'm always a white belt, always. There is no limits.
Right.
We do not set limits on each other. That's where you mess up, because that's what the enemy has done. Rondo?
You already know what I'm about to say. To the invaders, it's a trap. And to the kinfolk, get out the city, travel. And that's all I'm saying.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, Rondo, you know, we gotta get that open house. When I'm on my way, you're gonna be like, oh,
say the
man,
word.
Better
I'll
be a
up
whole.
there.
Hey, well, I told you can grab Oak, man, and come on up, man. We go to the range and get some little, you know, some tink time in. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, George, you rock, brother. Yeah. Appreciate that, man.
Thank
It
you.
was a wonderful thing. You already know, cuz you already know what family citinelli. It was we say family, a Latini, which means family. It's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I appreciate everybody that came in. George, brother, appreciate you. Ronald's number love is always the same. It's love all the way around.
Love you all.
Everybody here. And look, I want y'all to have a grand evening. All right. Make the best of it. Look at yourself. Have self-consideration, self-appreciation. No more no more depriving of self. Let your knowledge increase. Let you be the forebearer of the truth of everything that exists within you, and allow yourself to stand on your 10 toes and have your 515s, I call them, your 210s, always ready, but violence never the way.
Thank you,
Love is the
Talon and Sue.
magnification.
Thank you for that comment. Appreciate that.
So it's number love. Hey, C Moses, next time, come on, call on in, brother. I'll set the number up. Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate you guys, all right? And y'all have a grand night.
You too. God bless.
Appreciate you guys coming in. I really am. All right? So y'all have a wonderful evening.